A life blessed by God would be born. An oracle was sent the day the twins of the Brelov family were born. The younger one, Naxia, as if she was proving the oracle true, grew up into a respected lady with radiant, silver hair and a noble smile. She manifested her ability when she was a child, so she could wield control over water with ease. Everyone called Naxia the God's loved one. However, the older sister among the twins, Asia Brelov, her black hair looked like it was drenched with filthy water. People were whispering, "Look at her dull face too. I don't think I've ever seen her smile. What's more, her sister possesses an ability, but I've heard she still doesn't have one. They're twins, but how come they're so different? One is so perfect, as if she's blessed by all the gods. But the other one..." She thought, "I didn't think I'd hear such things, even at the Crown Prince's birthday party." At this moment, everyone was mocking Asia. The younger sister who had everything, and the older sister who had nothing. Their situation was an amusing source of gossip among the nobles. If Asia couldn't stand their whispers and left, the rest of them would mock her even more by bursting into laughter. She said, "Kva." Asia said, "My mistake. However, today will be different. You there, you were talking about me, weren't you? I didn't hear you well, so would you mind repeating what you said?" Naxia said. "I wonder? What did I say again? You said one seemed to be blessed by all the gods, but what about the other?" Asia said, "Wasn't that about me?" Naxia thought, "I simply said that, since I look forward to your future." Asia said, "I don't remember allowing you to meddle. So can you quit with your wicked babble?" Naxia said, "What did you say?" Asia said, "Listen to what I'm about to say. If anyone dares to talk behind my back, whoever it is, I'll rip their mouth off." Naxia said, "I have absolutely no intention of being pushed around easily. At first, I didn't know that this was the world of a book. The last thing I remember from my past life is that I quit the job I was so sick of and left to travel. Then, the plane to my destination exploded a few moments after takeoff. I had certainly died. Servants said, 'My lady, please open your eyes.' Lady Asia. She thought Thana, S.I.A. But when I opened my eyes, I had transmigrated into the body of someone from another world. You fell from a galloping horse, so this much is a miracle. I've transmigrated, but my name is Asia, my younger sister is Naxia, and my family name is Brelov?" I suddenly recalled a memory. The Loved Saintess. This novel was incredibly popular. It was the story of two completely opposite twin sisters. The younger sister, Naxia, who was loved by all, and the older one with no remarkable qualities, Asia, who was always compared to her. Asia had always lived in a withdrawn manner, and as time passed, she started desiring Naxia's possessions. People thought, "Why did God give everything to Naxia alone? Why do I have nothing? If only I had been born as Naxia. If I was Naxia, that's right. Asia was the villainess and the loved saintess." She thought, "So, I've become that Asia, right? I wonder if it's because I read a lot of fantasy novels, but this isn't too shocking. More than anything, it means I became a noble, doesn't it?" I accepted this reality quite fast. I've already died, so I can't go back to how I was before. I actually don't care anyway. I had no family, and my life was only about enduring day after day. Not to mention, my situation here isn't that bad. No matter what I wear, it suits me. The Asia in the novel who compared herself to Naxia constantly went through hell. I think I'm slightly pretty, but I'm not the same. I didn't envy Naxia's beauty, personality, or ability. I'm already young, rich, and pretty. I should wholeheartedly have a lavish lifestyle, which I couldn't have done in my past life. However, my days of happiness didn't last long. Should I plan a trip? The maids were talking. Don't you think Lady Thanasia's become a bit strange? Right. After that horse riding incident, she's drastically... Oh right, did you hear the news? Huh. The one about people who keep going missing. They say it's for some experiments to make human weapons. Are you talking about the Kalua Empire? Are you alright, my lady? I'm fine. Then Asia said, rather, repeat what you just said. The Kalua Empire, and what else? The maid asked. Well, there's a rumor going around in society. Apparently, the Kalua Empire is conducting experiments to make human weapons. I heard there are more people who went missing this year compared to last year. And they say they were all taken by the Kalua Empire. But these are all just rumors. Don't worry too much, my lady. She thought, my goodness. Only now had I been reminded of that part of the story. The Arwen Empire, where the loved saintess takes place, will start a war with the Kalua Empire. The issue is that after that war is lost, then Asia will die. And the one who kills her is the final villain of the novel, Askin. As he was the only survivor of the human weapon experiments, he becomes the strongest being in the world, and a monster at the same time. She thought, let's stay calm. I still have time. Askin once escaped the experimental lab at the age of 15. Because of his ragged clothes, he was mistaken as a slave, and was sold to the Arwen Empire. This is it. So there was a line like that. Since then Asia and Askin are the same age, if he was 15, then it would happen this year. Then Asia said, where's the slave marketplace in the capital? I have to go there immediately. The maid replied, what? The slave marketplace? Why, all of a sudden? Then Asia said, I have no time to waste. Quickly prepare the carriage and... A man said, excuse me, master. Then Asia looked at him questioningly and said, come in. The man said, I've fetched water for the bath, as per your orders. Then Asia looked at him in wonder. Coal-black hair. Deep, golden eyes. Tattoos of ancient language around the neck. She thought, no way. She asked, what's your name? The man looked at her curiously and said, it's Askin. Then Asia looked at him in shock and thought, hold on. Why is Askin at our residence? Nothing of the sort happened in the original novel. While Askin's escape from the laboratory was mentioned in The Loved Saintess, it was never stated that he was a slave for the Brelow family. However, as The Loved Saintess wasn't a completed novel, it could have simply been a part of the setting that hadn't been mentioned yet. Then Asia thought, since I was thinking of searching for Askin anyway, I guess I'm lucky that he appeared right in front of me. She said, master. Askin said, if there's nothing left for me to do, may I go and attend to other matters? Then Asia, attracted to him, replied yes. Then Asia thought, what was that? Why was he in such a hurry to leave? The maid asked, my lady, are you really letting him off that easily? Then Asia said, what do you mean? The maid replied, it's nothing. The maid asked, it felt like you let him go earlier than usual, so I just... Then Asia thought, earlier than usual? Did she do something prior to my transmigration? Then Asia said, what did I used to do again? My recent memories become somewhat hazy after the accident. I won't get angry at you, so just tell me truthfully. That way, you can help me remember things again. The maid replied, the thing is, you've disliked Askin since the very beginning. For example, you said that you hated seeing Askin's black hair. You made him carry your bath water inside even though the tap worked just fine. And when you were in a bad mood, you'd bring out your whip and punish Askin. She stopped for a second, thinking, I just raised my very own death flag. With that grudge Askin has against me, it's no wonder he killed me. Hold on. Don't tell me, am I the one who sent Askin back to the Kalua Empire? In the novel, Askin escaped the experimental lab in Kalua and crossed over to the Arwen Empire. But for some unknown reason, he was captured and brought back to the lab. I think the reason for this came up briefly, but I can't remember it clearly. On top of everything, if I really am the one behind all this, I basically signed my death warrant. The maid asked, by the way, should I schedule your visit to the slave market tomorrow? Then Asia said no, that plan is cancelled. Then Asia thought, I can't give up on this life. I have to find a way to live. That night, I had a dream for the first time after awakening inside this novel. It was a dream about me finding Askin in the slave market. I had instantly recognized the ancient language engraved on his neck, along with the countless magic formulas on his body. They were the tattoos he acquired during the experiment, to make him a living human weapon. Then Asia thought, to give a normal human special abilities. That means I can have a special ability like Noxia, the ability to control water. It had always been an ability that I could never even dream of having, but if I managed to understand the meaning of the ancient runes and the magic formulas on Askin's body, even I could gain the ability to control water. That's how I started doing my own experiments using Askin. Since my actions would go against the law, I took measures to keep everything completely hidden. And the first thing I did was figuring out what Askin's abilities were. Then Asia said to Askin, "It's no use pretending to be powerless. All those formulas on your body make it obvious. You aren't a normal human anymore. Come on, show me all of your secret abilities. I see, you're not going to say anything until the very end, is that it?" Then Asia whipped Askin vigorously and stared at him, forcing out his pain. Then Asia said, "What the? So this was it? The ability to turn your entire body into steel? With this, you wouldn't die even if you had to face dozens, no, hundreds of enemies. Because you wouldn't even get the slightest of wounds. Now, shall we test how long you can last in that state?" Askin looked at her with wonder. She thought, "Stop. I want to wake up from this dream. Stop. Please just stop. That wasn't simply just a dream. They're my memories from before I transmigrated. I didn't just torment Askin, I used him as an experimental object like the Kalyua Empire did. From what I've seen so far, it's not unlikely that I sold Askin to the Kalyua Empire after I found out where those abilities came from. If I leave things as they are now, Askin will definitely try to get his revenge on me. I have to resolve his resentment no matter what." Then Asia said, "Askin." Askin looked at her questioningly and asked, "What made you come all the way here? Is there something you want me to do?" Then Asia thought, "I didn't notice it before, but Askin's wary of me. Yeah. It's not surprising, considering how I treated him. But things will change from now on." Then Asia said, "Well, it's nothing special. I'm thinking of relocating you to the mansion. To a nicer room than this small, dark one." Askin said, "Relocate? I don't think I understand what you're saying." Then Asia said, "I'm saying that you don't have to worry about anything from now on. The Loved Saintess is not a completed novel. That's why I'm going to change it, Askin." Then Asia said, "Starting from today, you'll be my personal servant." She thought, "I'll definitely create a happy ending for myself. She thinks seems like he's bad at concealing his emotions. Wait, maybe he doesn't hide them on purpose. But it's understandable, considering that he now has to stick closely to the master who tortured him cruelly. However, he can't refuse my order." Thansha said, "Grab your things. You're moving out now." Asian replied, "Yes, master." Thansha thinks, "Hang in there, Askin. I'll make up for all the things Thansha did to you before my transmigration. I'll treat you so well that you'll let go of any resentment you had towards me." Asian said, "I'm ready to go, master." Thansha said, "Huh? Already? Is that all you've got?" Asian said, "Yes." Thansha said, "Don't tell me you survived through winter with those clothes alone." Asian replied, "Yes, I did." Askin said, "This won't do. Let's get you some new clothes. Call in the tailor." Maid asked, "Yes, my lady." Asian said, "You don't have to do this, master." Thansha said, "No, I can't have my servant walking around in rags." Askin said, "And don't call me master. From now on, address me as my lady, got it?" "Now." Thansha said, "From today onwards, Askin will be my personal servant. You'll be working closely with him, so get along well." Servants replied, "Yes, my lady." "Please have a look at the sample outfits." Askin changed the dress and Thansha and the maids saw him. "Wonderful." Maid asked, "What do you think, my lady?" Thansha said, "What do you think, my lady? Please send the rest of the clothes to my room." "You're hungry, right, Askin? Here. Eat as much as you want." Askin saw all things uncomfortably. Thansha said, is he having trouble with the knife? She asked, cut it for him. Askin replied, yes, my lady. Thansha said, eat the sliced meat for now, Askin. Askin said, ah, yes. Make sure to practice using the knife when you have time. You should be able to use it without any trouble if you're going to continue to have dinners with me. Askin said, yes, my lady. Thansha said, shall we go on a walk after dinner to get some fresh air? Askin said, yes, my lady. Thansha thinks, what's with these dry responses? He's only saying yes this, yes that. I thought that he would be happy to experience luxurious things for the first time, but he doesn't seem happy at all. It's like he's not feeling anything at all. I hope he'll open up a bit on our walk. It should be somewhere around here. Thansha said, ah, here it is. Let's sit down there. This is perfect. Thansha said, come and sit, you can see the stars really well from here. Go on, look up at the sky. And? Do you like it? Askin said, have you changed tactics now? She saw him questioningly. She asked, what? Didn't you tell me that you want to steal Lady Noxia's ability? And if that doesn't work, you want me to kill her? No matter how much you try, I won't do it. She thinks, what? My God. When did I say that? Just what have I been doing up till now? There's something I should have told him before treating him well all of a sudden. She asked, I'm sorry, Askin. Thansha said, you've gone through hardships because of me, haven't you? Askin said, I apologize for everything I've said or done to you. Thansha said, to be honest, I don't remember anything that happened before the horse riding accident, and my hatred towards Noxia has also disappeared. I don't care about abilities anymore, so please forget my inappropriate plea. I won't torment you anymore. Askin asked, I promise? She asked, you promise? Askin said, just continue to treat me as usual. This kind of treatment is annoying and makes me uncomfortable. Thansha thinks Askin's resentment is deeper than I thought. Is there another way to survive? I guess running away to a faraway place works. No, there's no way that Aland, the head of the Brelov family, would stay still. And it won't be easy for a 15-year-old girl to travel around safely. Just what do I have to do to change my fate? Mathella said, Lady Thansha, please solve the questions that I've been explaining for the last hour. Mathella, Brelov family's tutor. Thansha said, ah, yes. She thinks, damn it. I wasn't paying attention to the class at all because I was thinking about more important matters. Let's see. Anastasia said, what's this? That question is easier than I thought. Thansha replied the answer, 15 feet 13 inches. Mathella said, my lady, did you just solve this equation in your head? Thansha said, I did solve it in my head, but I approached the question differently. If you use this method, it's much easier to solve this problem, she thinks it. Why do I know these things? Oh my. Mathella said, I was aware that you were very bright, but this is beyond my expectations. Thansha said, is that so? Mathella said, I never managed to convince you since you're quite strong-willed, my lady. But I can't let this opportunity pass this time. What? What are you talking about? Mathella said, here, take a look. Are there any questions here that you can't solve? Thansha said, no, I can solve all of them. Mathella said, these are textbooks on advanced magic formulas. You've never been taught any of this. Do you understand what I am getting at? Lady Thansha, you have an innate talent for magic formulas. So stop wasting your time trying to learn spirit magic. Thansha said, now that I think about it, it seemed so natural to me that I never questioned it. I recognized the tattoos on Askin's body as engraved magic formulas. The reason the original Thansha found out about the human weapon experiments was probably also because she could read all of the formulas, but Thansha never developed her true talent. Instead, she tried to copy Noxia and studied fields that weren't for her. That's it. If I put my talent to good use, Mathella said, you could become the best scholar in the Arwen Empire, no, on the whole continent. Thansha said, what? Scholar. Mathella said, of course, that's only possible if you don't hide or suppress your talent. I'm sure that the family head will be happy for you, and fully support you once we tell him. Thansha said, all right. Mathella said, you can tell father about me. I want to see him be happy too. She thinks there's no reason for me to make the same choices as the original Thansha did. This might even be another way to change my fate. Thansha said, now that I know there's another way, I'm getting my hopes up again. Yeah, that's right. It wouldn't be fair to leave my fate in Askin's hands like that. There are just too many variables. At the very least, I need to have the ability to protect myself. Askin said, oh no. Watch out. She thinks that voice just now, Noxia said, S sister, Noxia, Thansha's younger sister, and the female lead of the novel. Askin said, my lady, are you alright? Thansha said, why yeah, thanks. What about you? You got wet too. Askin replied, I'm fine. Noxia said, I'm so sorry, Thansha. It might sound like an excuse, but I didn't do it on purpose. Thansha said, it's alright. Thansha said, I didn't get hurt or anything. I remember reading this scene in the novel. Thansha said the servants were begging Noxia to show them her ability, and Noxia ended up making a mistake since she lacked control over her power. That's why Noxia asked. It was a simple accident, so don't worry about it. Noxia said, alright. Thansha said, however, it's not a good idea to practice out here. Thansha said guests could be passing by here on their visits, and we can't have them getting drenched in water. Noxia said, you're right. I didn't think that far ahead. Maid said, Lady Thansha, it isn't Lady Noxia's fault. Another maid said, that's right. We asked her to show us her ability, and Thansha said, so you're aware of your mistake, right? Noxia said, why yes. Thansha said, from now on, don't beg our soft-hearted Noxia to use her ability all the time. Noxia said, what? Thansha said, did you not listen to me? Should I repeat myself? Maids replied, and no need. We'll keep that in mind. Noxia said, thanks. Thansha said, for what? For what? Noxia said, for accepting my apology and being considerate of me. Thansha said, it's nothing, really. She asked, you don't have to thank me for such a small. Thansha said, anyway, I should get going first, Noxia. Noxia said, sure. Noxia said, what was that? I feel like her expression darkened for a moment. Did I make a mistake again? Thansha said, Askin. Askin asked, yes? Thansha said, take that shirt off for a moment. Thansha thinks those wounds, did I do that to him? I should treat them with an ointment so they don't scar. Here it is, this should do the job. Thansha said, Askin, what are you doing right now? Askin said, you told me to take off my shirt. Thansha said, why yes. But why are you kneeling on the floor? She thinks right, in the dream, I whipped Askin on his bare skin to test his ability to turn his skin into steel. Askin must have misunderstood my order to take off his shirt. Askin said, what are you doing right now? Can't you see? I'm putting ointment on your wounds. Thansha said, stay still and don't move. It's an ointment to prevent scarring, so it shouldn't hurt too much. What I'm doing right now could be completely useless, but I still can't turn away from this child's wounds. So, being nice to Askin is just a small insurance for the unpredictable future, and a simple act out of sympathy. I thought about how I could prevent my death once again. Thansha thinks, would it be possible to stop a war from happening with my talent? A lot of things would change if the war between the Kalyua Empire and the Arwen Empire never broke out in the first place. Firstly, the Brelow family wouldn't go down, and they'd have the necessary resources to protect me. Also, as the general of the Kalyua Empire, Askin would never have to kill me. On top of that, if I manage to protect Askin so that he doesn't get dragged back to the laboratory, then the human weapon experiments might never succeed. Askin was a key figure in the successful completion of the experiments, after all. Thansha thinks the question now is how I can use my skills to prevent the war. As of now, I can't think of a good answer to that question. Maid asked, my lady. Why are you sleeping here? Are you alright? Thansha thinks I must have fallen asleep last night thinking about my dilemma. Thansha said, oh, I just dozed off for a second. But did something happen? Maid asked, the family head invited you to have dinner with him today. Let me help you get ready for dinner. Thansha said, the family head did what? Thansha thinks if it's the family head, then it's Alan Brelow, my father? Why did he invite me to dinner all of a sudden? Thansha thinks it's my first time meeting father after transmigrating. I'm a bit nervous. Alan Brelov raised his family into fame and wealth with his good business sense, brilliant mind, and cold personality. But contrary to that cold-hearted image of his, he showered his daughters with endless love. Thansha thinks it'll be fine. Let's try to act as natural as possible. Alan said, come on in, Thansha. Thansha thinks, what the? Why is father so young? Ah, right. According to the setting, father married my deceased mother at an early age. Thansha said, sorry to make you wait. She thinks, stay calm. I was told that you were busy today. Alan said, that's right, but I wanted to give you a present, so I rescheduled all my plans. Thansha said, a present? This is… Alan said, I heard from Matella. You found your talent in the magic formula field in your latest class, didn't you? I hope you liked my present to celebrate that matter. Also, make sure to think well about your future from now on. I'll try to support you as much as I can. Thansha said, this is such an unexpected gift, thank you. Thansha thinks he rescheduled his appointments to give me a present? He could have just had it delivered to my room though. Askin thinks he loves his daughters way more than I thought. Noxia said, congratulations, sis. The jewels are so pretty. They will suit you well. I just remembered that the Crown Prince will hold a ball for his birthday soon. You should wear the necklace to that ball. She thinks, hold on, the Crown Prince's birthday ball? That ball is the very first time Noxia and the male lead meet. And said male lead is the Crown Prince, Rohel de Frenzarwin. With the ball as their first meeting, the two start to develop romantic feelings for each other, and fall in love when they become adults. Of course, as the cliché Villainess, Thansha tries everything to split them apart. But I wonder what will happen if I cheer for their love instead. I guess it could improve my chances of survival. It should be better than trying to drive them apart. Thansha said, Noxia, this necklace, should I lend it to you? Thansha said, huh? Noxia said, when I said that it would look good on you, I didn't mean that I wanted to wear it. Thansha said, I know, I just thought that it'd be nice if you wore this to the ball. Noxia said, I appreciate your thoughts, but how could I? Thansha said, you can just accept my offer. I'm sure it'll suit you well. Noxia said, do you want me to pick out a matching dress as well? Thansha thinks I don't want to get too much attention at the ball. I'd rather make Noxia stand out more to ensure a successful first meeting with Rohel. Noxia said, would you really do that for me? Thansha said, of course, as long as you want me to. Noxia said, wow. I'm so excited. Alan said, seems like you two are closer than I thought. Thansha, you don't have to give everything to Noxia. Thansha said, what? Alan said, prepare the same necklace again. She thinks, what kind of development is this? Noxia asked, when should we go pick out the dress? Thansha said, whenever you want to. Alan said, no, let's continue to talk. Askin thinks, what am I even thinking? While eating. Alright. She thinks, Askin, did you think that you could escape from us? Dead or alive, escape from the Kalua Empire. You can never. Ever since I escaped from the experimental lab, I haven't slept well, because they've been chasing me in my dreams. When Lady Thansha changes back into her usual self, I'll have to return to my original position as well. Askin thinks that's why I can't get my hopes up. Never, ever since my ability got exposed, I've been looking for a chance to leave the Brelov family. It's difficult for the bounty hunters sent by the Kalua Empire to infiltrate the mansion of an Arwen noble family like the Brelovs. I've only stayed here for so long because I thought I was safe from them. Askin thinks once I've found a safe place to stay and have gathered the necessary funds, I'll run away from here as soon as I get the chance. I just have to endure it till that time comes. Man said, oh my, look at you. You seem to be in a good mood now that you've been promoted to a servant. I guess you won't even greet us from now on. Askin thinks they're the people I previously shared a room with. Man asked this arrogant bastard. Man asked, what if he snitches on us? Man asked, let him try. I'll cut his skull open if he does. Askin asked, next time you throw something at me, please make sure to warn me. My clothes got dirty because of you. One man asked, what did you say? This bastard, you think you're a noble just because you're wearing some fancy clothes? Askin asked, I guess you're putting too much trust in that handsome face of yours. But it won't save you for long. You'll be abandoned soon enough. Man asked, stop it. He was a weird guy to begin with. You're a bomb walking around on two legs. If you ever get overwhelmed by your emotions, you might end up destroying everything around you. Taking a single life is easy with the abilities I have. The only problem is, I can't control these powers. If I start using them, they'll only calm down once everything in front of me turns to dust. Askin thinks I usually don't get angry over such trivial matters. It's just that, Thansha said. Who said I'll abandon Askin? Askin and the two men looked at her in surprise. Askin asked, my lady? Thansha said, there was a change of plans, so I came to find you. But I didn't expect to witness something this interesting. The men bowed and said, Master. We were just… I'm sorry. You should hurry and apologize too. I'm sorry, Thansha said. You should apologize to Askin first. He got hurt by that thing you threw after all. Man asked, sorry? I wasn't trying to hurt you on purpose. I was so angry that I couldn't control myself. Askin said, it's fine. Thansha said, let me give you a small warning. I don't have a nice personality. Lay hands on someone who's mine once more, and that'll be the end of you. Do you understand? The men replied, yes, master. Thansha said, get out of my sight before I change my mind. Both men said, thank you. Thansha said, is your wound okay? Askin asked, yes, it's nothing serious. Thansha said, what do you mean it's nothing? Didn't you hear what I just said? You're my servant, someone who's mine. So don't get hurt without my permission. That's an order. Askin asked, yes, my lady. Thansha said, we don't have much time, so let's treat your wound quickly. Noxia is waiting for us. Askin asked, where are we going? Thansha said, we're planning to go pick out our dresses for the royal ball. Askin said, then you can go without me. I'll treat my wound myself. Thansha said, what do you mean? You're going to attend the ball too, so you'll need an outfit. Askin said, what? Thansha replied, I'm going, as well? This outfit suits him so well, let's go with this accessory. Noxia said, sis, your servant looks great in anything. Thansha said, told you it was a worthy investment. I think you also have a great sense of style. I loved the dress you picked out for me earlier. She said, that's a relief. We'll go with the tailcoat he's wearing right now. Thansha said, Askin, you can change back into your old clothes. Askin replied, all right. Thansha thinks is my dress the only thing that's left. Shopping is fun, but it's quite exhausting. Maid said, my lady, I've prepared some dresses in the style you usually prefer to wear. Thansha said, huh? These would suit Noxia way better than me. Well, the original Thansha did have a tendency to copy Noxia. Thansha said, my tastes have changed, so I won't be wearing these style of dresses anymore. Instead, I'll take that one. Maid replied, it's indeed different from your usual style, but I'm sure it'll suit you well. Do you want to try it on? Thansha said, no, it's fine. Just prepare that one for the ball. Noxia said, you helped me and your servant so much to pick out the right outfit, but you won't even try on yours? Thansha said, I know that it'll suit me without trying it on. Not to mention, I'm too exhausted anyway. Noxia said, I'll bring you some tea while you wait for everything to be prepared. She said, I'd like to have cold black tea. Me too. Maid brought the tray of tea. Here's your cold black tea. Thansha asked, thank you? She thinks, why is she so nervous? The cup of tea fell to the ground. Maid said, oh no. Noxia said, oh no. Get something to clean up this mess. Are you okay? She thinks that surprised me. Thansha thinks the bottom of the dress is completely soaked. Askin cleaned Thansha's clothes. Askin asked, my lady, did you get hurt anywhere? Thansha said, no. Askin said, I couldn't do anything about the color, but it should feel drier now. Thansha thinks, well, that was a quick reaction. It's normal for servants to do these things for you, but it still feels strange. Maybe it's because I've only seen Askin look at me with wariness. For him to act like a real servant, somehow, she said, how cute. Thansha moved his hand and thought, oh, my hand moved on its own. She said, thanks. You can stand up now. She thought to think that it's cute to see Askin working diligently. Since when did I find such things cute? Maids replied, I'm sorry. One maid asked, I don't know how to make up for this mistake. It's my fault. I should have educated my employees better. Thansha said, do you think I'll be satisfied with just an apology? Maid replied, no, of course we will compensate you accordingly. Is there something you want from us? Thansha said, first of all, you should cover the laundry fee of my dress and my servant's clothes. If the stain doesn't wash off, you'll have to send me a new dress. Maid asked, of course. Will you also punish her like you did last time? Thansha looked at her questioningly and said, punish? Maid asked, previously, you personally whipped the employee for her mistake. Could you generously overlook it this time? Thansha thought, what? That explains why the employee was shaking so much. It's only natural for her to be nervous and scared of me. I can't say that I have a good personality, but I'm nothing compared to the original Thansha. She thought to think that she even whipped the staff of a dress salon. I wonder what Askin's thinking right now. Not to mention Noxia, who's silently awaiting my decision. Both of them are acting as if they're familiar with this situation. However, Maid asked, I understand that it's our mistake and that we deserve any kind of punishment. Thansha said, that's enough. You don't have to explain yourself. I won't punish anybody. Does the employee I punished the last time still work here? Maid asked, and no. I made sure that she can't even come close to this salon, so you don't have to worry. Thansha said, there's no need to go that far. If you want her back, she can work here. And the monetary compensation for the dress, send it to her as consolation. Maid asked, what? There are things I must do as someone in Thansha's body. I have to right her wrongs. Maid replied, thank you, my lady. Please visit us again next time. Maid shouted, we survived. Maid replied, are you alright? Maid said, here's the receipt. Askin replied, thank you. Thansha said, but did something happen to her? Why'd she forgive me so easily? Maid asked, how should I know? That's just a typical noble's temper. I guess she's in a good mood today. Another maid replied, you're probably right. Maid said, I don't know what caused the young Brelow lady to change, but I have a feeling that the rumors about her will completely change sooner or later. Noxia said, Neen? Aren't you getting off the carriage? Thansha said, I want to collect my thoughts. I'll be back after a short ride. Noxia said, all right. Thank you for today. Thansha thought that much should be enough as a consolation fee, right? If I send her too much, people might start spreading weird rumors. Thansha's evil acts also happened off-scene. There's a lot I'm unaware of. What else did I do? If I don't find a way to protect myself, then, Thansha said, should I have let you out with Noxia? There was just something I needed to think about on my own. Is there something you want to tell me? Askin said, I told you before, didn't I? I don't know why you're acting like this, but it's just annoying and uncomfortable. Askin said, just tell me what you want. Thansha said, what? She thought, what did I do now? Wait, don't tell me. How cute. Thansha said, is this about me patting you on the head? Thansha thought he never complained when I whipped him in my dream, but he's making such a fuss over a single compliment. Now that I think about it, he had the same reaction when I showed him the night sky full of stars. I thought he just found my sudden change of behavior annoying, but it seems like that wasn't all, Thansha said, Askin. Was this your first time being called cute and seeing the stars? Askin said, is that of any importance? She thought he's not denying it. This is quite adorable. Since Askin always seemed so mature, I had forgotten something. The fact that the incredibly strong villain in the novel was just a boy. Thansha said, of course it's important. If it was your first time, then I want to show and say many more things to you. Maid said, then I want to show and say many more things to you. Another maid said, did everything go well? Noxia replied, Maid asked, I guess it's obvious that Lady Thansha just made fun of you instead of picking out a nice dress. She probably suggested the ugliest dress in that salon. Noxia said, don't say that. She helped me pick out a dress I really like. All of the dresses she suggested were so beautiful that I had a hard time choosing. Maid asked, you're too kind, my lady. Maid asked, right now, you should protect yourself from Lady Thansha's tricks. There's talk about her planning to ruin your dress on the day of the ball. Noxia said, what? Noxia thought the maids might be right. I've fallen for her fake kindness before. However, Noxia said, it's different this time. Thansha said when she got drenched in water, when she received the present from father, and also today, when she picked out the dresses, it's the first time she's treated me this kindly after my abilities manifested. We might be able to get close again. So, Noxia said, thanks for worrying about me, but you don't have to tell me these things. I truly believe that my sister has changed. Maid replied, yes, my lady. If you say so, Maid said, please excuse us. Noxia said, I made the right decision, right? Noxia said she would pat my head and tell me I did good. Maid asked if that lady over there was Brelov's eldest daughter. She said you can't compare her to her younger sister in terms of looks and abilities. She couldn't believe they were twins. Thansha said all the good genes went to the younger sister. The maid asked if she just got the leftovers, then quickly apologized. Thansha asked if she thought she was pathetic too. The maid clenched his hand, and Thansha said just using words wouldn't do, to follow her, and that it would be better not to scream. Thansha thought again, I had a dream again, and this one wasn't a simple dream either. The maid asked if she was up early, and Thansha said, yeah. The maid asked what was with that expression, did she have a nightmare? Taran, Thansha's personal maid, asked. Thansha said yes, kind of. Taran told her to forget the nightmare quickly since the royal ball was today, and that it would surely lift her mood. Thansha said right, today is the day the female lead Noxia meets the male lead, Crown Prince Rohel, for the first time. She guessed nothing special would happen and thought she just had to quietly stay on the sidelines and return after admiring the ballroom with Askin. Thansha thought she didn't want to know how many hours it took to have a massage, apply makeup and dress fitting for this ball. She wanted to go home even though she was still at home. She called out to Askin, asking how long he had been waiting. Askin said he had arrived just a second ago. Thansha said, really, look at you all dressed up, it looks good on you. Askin replied that he was just wearing what the lady had picked out for him. Thansha said the clothes were complemented by his handsome face glowing even brighter today, and asked if he didn't know he was handsome. Askin said, recently you're 50. Thansha asked, huh, so what? Askin said, 50 honest. Thansha said, how cute, that's a compliment, right? Noxia shouted, sis. Thansha asked Noxia if she had already been waiting for them. Noxia said yup, and asked if she would ride in the same carriage. Thansha said of course, why was she asking? Noxia said she didn't know, since Thansha usually wanted to ride separately, and she was happy they'd ride together. Thansha said there was no reason to go separately since they were sisters after all. The maid said that was the famous Brelov twins, the younger one the light and the older one the shadow. Thansha thought they were behaving exactly like in her dream and realized why Thansha didn't want to arrive with Noxia, as people whispered as soon as she walked past. It was annoying, so she thought she should leave Noxia's side so she could meet Rohel naturally. Thansha said see you later, Noxia. She wanted to look around with her servant. Noxia said okay, see you later. Thansha thought she wanted to have a drink and focus on her task, and since it was Askin's first time there, she decided to get the drinks, telling him to wait. Askin said yes, my lady. Women nearby whispered that her black hair looked like dirt, her plain face was unremarkable, her younger sister had awakened her ability but not her, and that her necklace was obviously copied from Noxia's. Askin said that was the only thing she could copy anyway, then thought they were orphans anyway, so nobody would know or care if they died during experiments. Thansha said listen carefully, if I catch you talking behind my back again, regardless of who you are, I'll rip apart that mouth of yours. Then she told Askin to go outside. Thansha thought she should do something about her temper, since she was no different from the original Thansha just then. Askin replied my lady, and when she answered yeah, he asked if she would really rip that woman's mouth apart. She coughed, and said she didn't think that was even possible. Askin asked if that meant it was a lie. Thansha said it was more of a warning, since some people don't understand kindness, and asked if he thought she'd really cut mouths apart. Askin said it was possible since it was her. Thansha replied that he really had a way of making people speechless, then asked how he liked the royal ball, though she had ruined the mood by dragging him outside. Askin said it didn't seem that special. Thansha asked, "That's it?" He said yes, and she admitted she thought he'd at least like it a little. It was surprising that the Thansha who behaved viciously at the Brelov mansion was ridiculed among other nobles. In a world where the strong were praised and the weak stepped on mercilessly, Thansha was weak, so when she stood up for herself, Askin said it felt as if she were scolding those who harassed him, and it was satisfying. Askin thought he might not like the place, and he didn't dislike the situation, but wondered what he liked about it. Suddenly, Thansha said Askin, and when he replied yes, she told him to shush for a minute. Rohel said he didn't want to play those childish games, he just wanted to make Arwen a powerful empire when he became emperor. Askin said he knew that very well, so he had to entertain the Brelov family, and he had to do that, which was irritating. Thansha thought that in the short glimpse she got a minute ago, she saw a red-haired boy in formal clothing, which meant something. Askin asked if it would be beneficial to maintain a good relationship with Lady Brelov, His Majesty. She thought she knew it. The person she saw was indeed the male lead of the loved saintess, Rohel. Then the person next to him must be his loyal servant, Regold. Rohel said he had to entertain Lady Brelov, whom he didn't even like. Thansha said on her very own birthday ball. She thought it felt like a conversation she shouldn't be listening to, and if Rohel realized she heard it, their relationship would become very awkward. Thansha said to Askin that it was uncomfortable, and they should get out of there quietly. Rohel said all right. Noxia said, "Sis, what are you doing here?" Thansha asked Noxia what she was doing there. Askin and Rohel looked at them questioningly, and Rohel asked who was hiding there. Rohel said he didn't expect someone to be in a place so far away from the banquet hall. Thansha said, the thing is. But Noxia greeted His Majesty, the Crown Prince, and introduced herself as Noxia of the Brelov family, and her sister, Thansha. She said she came out looking for her sister when she couldn't find her inside the banquet hall. Rohel said Brelov? And added that they might have overheard their misleading conversation just now, so he would like the chance to explain. Noxia said no, don't bother, she didn't want to inconvenience him in any way. She was also past the age to play childish games. Rohel said, so you heard? Noxia said if he was referring to himself saying he didn't want to play childish games, then yes, she heard it quite clearly. Thansha said, and Noxia? Noxia clenched Thansha's hand and said then they would excuse themselves. Rohel asked, happy birthday, Your Majesty. Thansha thought, damn it. Rohel thought that he was trying to set them up and enjoy his life, but things weren't going according to plan at all. Noxia said she never thought that the Crown Prince would say such disrespectful words so carelessly, and asked if Thansha didn't get hurt. Noxia said that, to be honest, earlier in the banquet hall, people came up to her saying hurtful things about Thansha. While she did warn them, it seemed like others said bad things too, seeing how Thansha angrily broke a glass and left the hall. Thansha asked if Noxia followed her because she was worried. She thought that was why Noxia behaved like that towards Rohel. She was grateful that Noxia was worried about her, but rather than being hurt by those words, she was worried about her life right now. She couldn't let the relationship between Noxia and the Crown Prince remain this way. Thansha said Noxia, she thought she had misunderstood something. Noxia asked if she did. Thansha said she didn't know how much of that conversation Noxia heard, but the Crown Prince was envisioning far ahead into the future. For Arwen to become a strong empire, the royal family and the nobles must work together. However, even when it's a necessary cooperation, not everyone will like each other instantly. Noxia said, but it's the truth that he talked about them disdainfully. Thansha replied that she shouldn't judge him without knowing the full story. The Crown Prince was someone with great ambitions, after all. Noxia replied, ambitions? Yes, she must have heard about it too, right? Rohel said His Majesty was a prodigy who started learning swordsmanship at the age of 5. Noxia said, and he was an amazing strategist who hadn't lost a single battle. Yeah, and that wasn't all. With eyes full of class and grace, and lips as red as roses, Rohel asked if countless young ladies fell for him the moment their eyes met. Noxia replied she did hear those rumors, but Rohel said then she must know what a promising individual he was. From intelligence, talent, and looks, he was someone far from lacking. Thansha said it was only fitting for such a perfect person to have great ambitions. Noxia asked her sister if she liked the crown prince. Thansha shouted no, she didn't. Thansha said she just didn't want them to misunderstand each other. She told Noxia to at least give him the chance to explain himself. Noxia said all right, if that's what she wanted. Thansha said yes, thank you, let's go up to him now and ask, and said there you are, Lady Brelov. Noxia asked Lady Tara what she was doing there. The girl said oh my, did she forget already? She had promised to show them her ability to control water, and many people were waiting for her. Thansha thought no. After hearing Lady Tara's words, she suddenly remembered an incident from the novel. In fact, there was another reason why Rohel and Noxia became interested in each other. And in the middle of that incident was the sub-villainess, Rayana Krisha. In order to embarrass Noxia in front of everyone, Rayana set off a party popper when Noxia was demonstrating her ability. Just as she planned, Noxia got frightened because of the loud noise from the party popper and lost control of the water, spraying it all over the room. The person who shielded Noxia from getting drenched was none other than Rohel. Thansha thought she was planning to enjoy this romantic scene from a distance, but as of now, things might progress differently than in the novel. Thansha asked Noxia how about talking to the crown prince before she returned to the banquet hall. Noxia asked if she had to, saying people were already waiting for her. The girl said the crown prince was coming to the banquet hall anyway, so she could talk to him there. Noxia said she'd talk to His Majesty as she met him in the banquet hall. Thansha said but, alright, Noxia, she should go ahead and she'd follow in a bit. Noxia said sure, see you later. Thansha told Askin to go find Lady Krisha in the banquet hall quickly and tell her that she wanted to speak with her. Since Rayana hated Noxia as much as she did, they understood each other and became friends thanks to their similarities. Right now, Rayana was most likely waiting for the right time to signal her servants to set off the party popper. Their priority for now was to divert her attention, and buy some time. Thansha said the lady who visited them a few times at their mansion. He remembered her, right? Askin said he did. Thansha asked if possible, to keep her distracted so she didn't have time to do anything else. Askin replied yes, my lady. Thansha said Askin, she would be entrusting him with this. Askin replied he'd do his best. Thansha thought her task now was to find Rohel and try to engage him in a conversation with Noxia. She hoped everything worked out as planned. However, life never goes the way anyone wants it to. Thansha said they fucked up a little while ago. Thansha thinks where did Rohel go? According to the novel, he was nearby when Noxia showcased her ability, so he should be somewhere around here. Why is he over there? Thansha thinks I knew it. The story has changed from its original flow. Rohel asked Your Majesty. HM? You're the lady I saw in the garden earlier. Thansha asked. I'm the oldest daughter of the Brelov family, Thansha. Rohel asked. You look like you were looking for me urgently. Did something happen? Thansha said I just wanted to talk with you since there seemed to be a misunderstanding earlier. Rohel said that's a relief then. I thought that I'd never be able to explain myself. Your Majesty, my sister was also present earlier. I think it's better if all three of us talk about it together. Thansha asked. That's fine too? Nice, we arrived on time. Thansha thinks it seems like Askin is keeping Rayana distracted as planned. If things continue like this, Noxia won't embarrass herself in front of everyone. Moreover, Rohel seems interested in Noxia's ability, so we should be able to make up, huh? Thansha thinks that's one of Rayana's servants. Why is he holding a party popper? Thansha said to Rohel looks like Noxia was demonstrating her ability. Rohel asked I don't mind waiting a bit. I'm rather interested in her demonstration myself. Rohel said then shall we go and watch from a closer position? Thansha said sure, let's do that. Thansha thinks I don't have a good feeling about this. I should ensure that Rohel is close to Noxia just in case. He's going to set off the party popper right now. Rayana isn't even here, so why? No, more importantly, Rohel is too far away from Noxia. Thansha said Your Majesty, this way? Let's go closer. Rohel said thank you. Thansha thinks if I want to create a scenario where Rohel protects Noxia from the water, he has to be closer to her. Just a bit closer, one more step. Noxia said Kia. Thansha thinks and no, this way, Noxia will. Rohel looked at her questioningly. She thinks everything would have been in vain. Present. Thansha said, why, your majesty? She thinks I messed up. My hand acted on its own because I was so shocked. Rohel said, don't tell me, you'll call this an accident. Thansha said, I apologize, the sound of the party popper really surprised me. She gave in and said it's my fault. I'm so sorry. I really don't have the right to say anything else. Here, at least take this. Rohel said, are you expecting me to believe you right now? Noxia said, are you saying that this happened on purpose? Rohel said, then, are you going to deny that it was on purpose? One person pushed me, and the other splashed water onto me. Maybe it's because you're twins, but your teamwork is impeccable. Noxia said, you shouldn't slander people without any evidence of their true intentions. Rohel said, I was the victim. I don't see why I'd need any evidence. Thansha said, hold on. I think there's a misunderstanding here. Rohel and Noxia said, I don't think you have the right to butt in. Stay out of this, sis. Thansha thinks, the plan was to make their first meeting as perfect as possible. What a complete failure. By the way, where's Askin right now? Neither Rihanna nor Askin are in the banquet hall, so why did that servant set off the party popper? Thansha said, excuse me, have you seen my servant? Charissa said, I'm not sure. Thansha asked, what about Lady Krisha then? Charissa said, I haven't seen her either. Thansha said, has there perhaps been some kind of commotion near the banquet hall? Charissa said, If it's a commotion, then, Thansha asked Askin. Askin said, you're here? She replied, what are you doing here? Askin shouted, hey! Open the door this instant. I'll kill you once I get out of here. Thansha said, don't tell me, is Lady Krisha in there? Charissa said, yes. Thansha said, did you trap her in there? Askin said, you told me to ensure that she's kept away by any means. Thansha said that. I did say that, but how did you lure her in there? Askin said, I told her that Lady Thansha was waiting there. Smart move. And you've been standing guard in front of the door? Askin said, yes. Thansha said, the whole time? You told me to keep her away for as long as possible, but you didn't specify for how long exactly. A voice came, shouting, open the door. Askin said, furthermore, as you can see, I don't think I can deal with the consequences on my own, so I waited for you to come. Did I do something wrong? Thansha said, no, you did great. She smiled and said, I'm rather surprised because you managed to pull it off perfectly. It was the first time someone had asked for my favor. Askin said, looks like she has started throwing around objects. I don't think we can keep her in there any longer. Thansha said, Rihanna, it's me. Rihanna said, Thansha? Thansha said, yes, I'll be coming in right now. Rihanna said, yes, I'll be coming in right now. Rihanna, Krisha, Villainess. Thansha said, hold on, Rihanna. Don't blame my servant. I ordered him to do so, after all. Rihanna said, what? Why would you? Thansha said, I just wanted to prank you, but I arrived here a bit later than planned. Rihanna asked, nonsense. You already knew what I had prepared for today, Thansha. Are you expecting me to believe you right now? Thansha said, sorry, Leanna. But don't worry, the popper still went off as planned. Speaking of, there's something I wanted to ask you. How come the popper still went off even though you weren't around to give the signal? Leanna stopped a moment and said, because I instructed the servant to set it off at the right moment, even if I didn't give the signal. Just in case. Thansha replied, oh, is that so? You must have felt cramped, being cooped up in this room. Shall we head down to the ballroom together? Leanna said, no, you go ahead. I need some time to straighten my dress first. Thansha said, no, you go ahead. I need some time to straighten my dress first. Leanna thought, at last, my powers are back. Because I didn't have nearly as much control over my elemental ability as Noxia did, no one was interested in what I might be capable of. Not even my family, the House of Krisha, paid any attention to my ability, merely because of the fact that I was born out of wedlock. They always compared me to Noxia, If it weren't for Noxia, I would have received more recognition from my family. Thansha, she said she hated Noxia even more than I did, yet in the end, she chose her own sister over me. Leanna said, Thansha Breloff, you'll pay for your trickery. After the night of the ball, the woman came to a realization. Because interpersonal relationships are so complex and nuanced, even the slightest change can result in events progressing in a wildly different direction. Because she behaved differently at the Imperial Ball than Thansha did in the original novel, Noxia followed her outside, and Rohel was standing somewhere much further away from the spot where the incident took place in the novel. And Leanna too, just in case. She didn't bother to hide her mistrust of me. Well, I expected as much. Indeed, there are way too many variables for me to just place my faith in other people. I need another, more reliable way to prevent Arwen from going to war with Kahlua. A maid entered and said, The governess is here, my lady. Thansha replied. Oh? Already? Thansha thought, I'm feeling tired and would prefer to rest, but she said, Send her in. The maid replied. Yes, my lady, Martella said. Hello, Lady Thansha, Thansha replied. What's all this, Martella? Martella said. Materials that will help you decide your career path, Thansha said. My career path? Martella replied. Yes, Lord Breloff asked me to assist you in choosing a trajectory for your future, and that he would spare no expense for the endeavor, Thansha replied. Oh. But are you planning to explain all these subjects to me today? Martella asked. I suppose one day may not be sufficient. If I don't get through all of them today, I'll go over the rest during our next lesson, Thansha said. No, what I mean is, never mind. Thansha thought, looks like I won't be getting any rest today. Martella shouted. Do any of these subjects interest you so far? Thansha replied. I'm not sure. I don't feel drawn to any of these subjects, Martella said. I've shown you pretty much all the texts I brought, Thansha replied. There's one left. What's this book about? Martella said. Oh, this is a book of magical engineering theories, Thansha said. Magical engineering? What kinds of things will I learn if I study that? Martella said. As you can see, I was going to exclude this subject because I didn't think it would be suitable for you. Magical engineering is a field of study that mainly focuses on warfare, such as the development of arms, preparation for war, and the strengthening of military might, Thansha said. I choose this subject, Martella said. Pardon? Thansha thought I found it. She said. From now on, I will study magical engineering, Thansha thought, my lifeline. As long as Arskan remains here in the Breloff Manor, Kahlua's experiment to create the ultimate living weapon is likely failing. However, if by some means the experiment ends up being a success, Kahlua will start a war. In preparation for that, I will create a weapon that can protect myself, with my own 2 hands. Martella said. Frankly, I'm reluctant to recommend the field of magical engineering, given how unpopular the subject is, Thansha said. That's fine. It may not be a popular subject, but I'd still like to study it. So, will we be starting lessons in this subject today? Martella said. Starting today will be difficult. For one, I'll need to recruit a teacher who's an expert in magical engineering, Thansha replied. All right. Then please find me the best teacher you can. He's not who we're looking for either, a magician said. It seems like he isn't in this district. Subject 13, that little rat, another magician said. Where on earth could he be hiding? The magicians, Tenai and Andro, continued their discussion. Tenai said, I figured he wasn't your ordinary subject, when he gave us the slip and escaped the lab, but still, I wasn't expecting him to vanish without a trace like this. During his escape, Subject 13 killed dozens of our fellow mercenaries. When I find him, I'm going to make him pay for what he's done. Andro said, Set your personal feelings toward him aside. According to what the higher-ups said, the ability Subject 13 demonstrated as he made his escape was truly phenomenal. If we manage to recapture him, it'll greatly speed up the progress of the experiment, Tenai said. So what if he's got some monstrous ability? He won't be able to defend himself against these. So those are the tranquilizers I've heard so much about. Yeah. The subjects are utterly helpless against them, Tenai said. We just need to bring back Subject 13 alive, right? Even if he's missing an arm or a leg, that shouldn't impact the experiment, Andro said. Well, do as you wish. More importantly, they'll release the signal soon. Why, those guys haven't found him either. Andro said. Are we going to have to go all the way to the capital? It's tricky to get around there. Tenai said. It doesn't matter where he's hiding. It may take more time, but we'll eventually find him. Andro replied. That's true, but do you by any chance know why Subject 13 escaped? If we know the reason, it might help us narrow down places to search. Tenai said. How can we know what the subject of an experiment is thinking? Guess he just didn't like it there. A maid said. Ours can. Would you mind looking after my boy for a bit? I have an important duty to attend to today, but he insisted on coming to work with me. Arskan replied. Oh. The maid thought Arskan, aka Can. Back in the lab, I was in solitary confinement for a very long time. Because their experiments on me yielded very promising results, they kept me separate from the other subjects. After spending a number of years in isolation, I ended up sharing my room with other children who showed similarly favorable results. At first, I didn't care who the other children were. A child said, Hi, I'm Subject 1890. You're Subject 13, right? How long have you been here? A girl said. Subject 13's been here since before I even arrived. The child asked. Wow, then he must have lived here for a really long time. Can he talk? The girl replied. I've never even heard his voice. I tried striking up a conversation, but he never replied. Have you ever heard him speak, Subject 17432? Another child replied. No. The children continued talking. One said, Tada! I braided his hair and then tied it. Another asked. Wow. How'd you do that? Do you want to arm wrestle with me? Arskan thought, in spite of my indifferent demeanor, upon feeling the warmth of other people for the first time in my life, I too opened my heart to them, little by little. A child asked, Hey, how come you ended up in this lab? Arskan replied. I was so young when I got here, I don't remember. Another child said. Really? I don't either. We're the same. What about you, Subject 1691? The girl replied. I followed someone here because they promised to give me bread and a house. My mom sent me here. Another child said. She said she'd come back for me once things get better. Wow. Really? That's wonderful. Arskan thought that was the case for most children in the lab. They were either orphans who had no parents or children who'd been sold off by their destitute parents. The children didn't really understand what kind of situation they were in. Seeing them reminded me of myself when I was their age, and it made me feel for them. A child asked, Do you have a name? Arskan replied. No, the child said. Then we'll give you one. We came up with one for Subject 1691 too, which is why I wanted to protect them. A girl said, Hey, how come I keep coughing up blood? Arskan thought, a side effect of the experiments. He hugged her and said, There. You'll be all right. A man entered and said, Subject 1691, time for you to head to the lab. Arskan thought, protecting someone in that hellhole was no easy feat, the man said. Huh? What are you doing, Subject 13? Let go of Subject 1691. The girl screamed. No! I don't want to go. Help me, Arskan said to the man. She said she doesn't want to go. The man shouted. How dare you talk back to me? He slapped Arskan and yelled. Fancy yourself her savior, do you? You fool! The girl coughed blood again. The man said, She's useless like this. Well, if you're so worried about Subject 1691, you can let us experiment on you instead of her, Subject 13. Then I'll spare Subject 1691 from further experimentation. Same goes for the other subjects in here. How about it? Arskan thought. I readily agreed. As I was subjected to dozens of experiments in succession, my body underwent a rapid transformation. At the same time, it was overloaded, and one day, I lost consciousness and was unable to wake up for several days. And that's when it happened. A man shouted, What are you doing? Get a move on, Arskan said. Wait a minute. What about the children? The man said. Huh? Arskan thought. They were brought out to be experimented on, of course. Arskan said. You said you wouldn't experiment on them if I volunteered in their stead. The man replied. That's when you were awake and coherent. You passed out for the past few days, remember? Arskan asked. Are all of them all right? The man said. I wonder. If you really want to know, ask the subject left behind over there. Arskan looked around and saw the mirror. Subject 1890. Why were you lying on the floor like that? Subject 1890 weakly replied. Because I'm so cold, Arskan said. You're cold? There's so much blood, the child whispered. I saw it. The other kids they took to experiment on were piled on a cart and taken away, Arskan said. What? Will that happen to me too? I'm scared. I don't want to die. Somebody give me some painkillers, Arskan said. Or a sedative, at least, please. He thought. Subject 1890's body grew cold in my arms. Even after the other children were gone, I was forced to continue undergoing intensive experimentation. The laboratory denied me both life and death. It merely inflicted upon me immeasurable pain and agony, both physically and mentally. Since I had nothing left to lose, I decided to escape the laboratory. Ironically, I was able to make my escape thanks to my body now having become the ultimate weapon. But even after I escaped, I was not free. Some people found my unconscious self and sold me into slavery, and the person who bought me attempted to continue conducting the living weapon experiments on me. The outside world wasn't very different from the laboratory. A child said, Arskan! I want it. Thansha thought, or maybe it was not. I suppose things have changed somewhat. Arskan thought, Lady Thansha, what on earth could she be thinking? Thansha read the book, she thinking okay, I'm done reading Varnon's theories on magical engineering. Are these all the books on magical engineering I can readily get my hands on? What I learned after reading books on magical engineering for the past few days is that because magic exists in this universe, there is a much wider range of weaponry than in the modern world. There are two main types of weaponry, the first being your standard weaponry, made with normal engineering, and the second, enchanted weaponry crafted with magical engineering. Each magically engineered weapon has its own unique magic depending on which magic stone was used to create it. For instance, if a sword is made with a water magic stone, it is possible to use water magic with that sword. The strength of a magically engineered weapon depends on the magic stone used, and the power of the magic stone itself is also finite. But because they utilize magic, they are incomparably more powerful than the standard weapons. And because having magic equates to power, the might of a nation is highly dependent on the number of citizens who possess elemental abilities and the amount of magically engineered weapons in its arsenal. The problem is that, currently, Arwen has neither an elemental ability user capable of leading the Empire to victory in a war, nor any magically engineered weapons. As a result of the living weapon experiments he was subjected to, Ars can artificially gain the ability to control fire. And he could manipulate the fire he created to never extinguish, making it perfect for warfare. If Arskan were to defect back to Kalua, there is no one in Arwen capable of stopping him. Of course, if he remains with me, such a future will never come to pass, but there's no guarantee how long Arskan will stay by my side. I need to prepare for the worst, by creating a powerful weapon. Anyway, magic stones. Magic stones are a crucial ingredient in magical engineering, but they are way too expensive to give out to soldiers. This must be why magically engineered weapons, while powerful, cannot be used by many, and magical engineering became such an unpopular field of study. Which, in turn, must be the reason Kalua has been trying to create a living weapon. As a result of the living weapon experiments he was subjected to, Ars can artificially gain the ability to control fire. And he could manipulate the fire he created to never extinguish, making it perfect for warfare. If Arskan were to defect back to Kalua, there is no one in Arwen capable of stopping him. Of course, if he remains with me, such a future will never come to pass, but there's no guarantee how long Arskan will stay by my side. I need to prepare for the worst, by creating a powerful weapon. Anyway, magic stones. Magic stones are a crucial ingredient in magical engineering, but they are way too expensive to give out to soldiers. This must be why magically engineered weapons, while powerful, cannot be used by many, and magical engineering became such an unpopular field of study. Which, in turn, must be the reason Kalua has been trying to create a living weapon. Should I gather a bunch of magic stones and create a weapon of mass destruction like a nuclear bomb? Or should I create a standard, universal weapon that an average soldier could use? Whether I go with a nuclear bomb or a stockpile of mass-produced weapons, It'll take way too many magic stones to produce. Is there something else instead of magic stones that could be used to forge these weapons? Martella said ahem. Thancia said Martella. When did you arrive? Martella said a little while ago. What were you thinking so intently about that you didn't even notice me? Thancia said oh, just this and that. Martella said more importantly, I brought the item you asked for last time. Thancia said really? Martella said here, a bracelet made with a magic stone. Thancia said, and what magical ability has been imbued into this bracelet? Martella said you can ask the person who made it. You can ask the person who made it. Thancia thinks huh? Who is that man? Martella said come in, Varnin. Martella said Lady Tanasia. As promised, I brought you a magical engineering teacher. He is highly renowned in this field. This is Varnin Artenando. Thancia said what? V. Varnin, are you the author of Varnin's theories on magical engineering? The book she was reading moments ago. Yes. A man said wrote that book. Varnin Artenando, magical engineering expert. Thancia said my goodness, this is such an honor. I recently read all the books you've written. I found them immensely helpful. Oh, excuse me. In my excitement, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is, Varnin said no need. I know who you are. Tanasia Breloff, the eldest daughter of Marquis Breloff. Vernon thinks I swear, had I not owed the Marquis a huge favor, I wouldn't have been dragged against my will all the way here. Vernon said I heard from Martella that you're something of a prodigy. But no doubt, this subject is little more than a hobby for a young noblewoman like yourself. Unfortunately for you, I have absolutely no interest in amusing you. Vernon said I'm only here to reject your offer to hire me as a teacher in person. It's still not too late to tell your father that you'd like to study a different subject instead. Martella said why would you say such a thing, Varnin? You already agreed to teach her. Hold on. Thancia said I have so many questions I've wanted to ask, if I ever got the chance to meet you in person. This part here. I don't understand why you explained it this way. Varnin said what? This is an esoteric concept in magical engineering, so it's no wonder you're having trouble understanding it. But why are you curious about such a thing? It's not something a young noble lady needs to know. Thancia said pardon? What's that got to do with it? Thancia asked my background has no bearing on my pursuit of magical engineering. Also, I am serious enough about studying magical engineering to want to understand even its most complex, esoteric concepts. Vernon said my. So you weren't lying when you said she was genuinely interested in the subject. Thancia said of course not. Why would I do such a thing? I thought you were exaggerating to get a naive old man like me to give in. Varnin stepped back and said bring it here. I'm only going to explain it to you once. Thancia said thank you. A maid knocked on the door and said pardon the interruption, my lady. Lady Lyanna has come by to see you. Thancia said huh? Lyanna's here? Why? The maid replied huh? Lyanna's here? Why? Thancia thinks I guess the old Tanasia used to meet with her on a regular basis. It makes sense since they were friends, at least on the surface. Thancia said can you have Lyanna wait in my room? Ask her to be patient, and that I'll be there as soon as this lesson is over. Lyanna said what? She wants me to wait? The maid replied I'm sorry, Lady Lyanna. The lesson she's in was unplanned, so, Lyanna said fine. Just bring me some tea. The maid replied yes, Lady Lyanna. Lyanna thinks I thought it'd be advantageous to keep up the pretense of friendship, at least for now, so I came for the monthly meeting instead of canceling on her. Is she snubbing me openly because I'm the daughter of a bar hostess? What? Who could this be? A voice, Lady Breloff. It's me. Lyanna thinks that voice. Ours can seize him wonderfully. Lyanna said well, so we meet again. Lyanna, smiling and clenching his cloth on his shoulder, said goodness, don't you look happy to see me? Oh, that reminds me. One time, Tanasia was over at my manor. She beat a servant so badly that he ended up crippled. I suppose she wouldn't mind if I returned the favor. As it turns out, I happen to enjoy hurting pretty servants like you, and seeing their faces streaked with tears. Arskan said, and seeing their faces streaked with tears. Thancia thinks his explanation makes things so much clearer. Vernon said for the next question, I need some paper. Can I use this? Thancia said of course. Arskan said What's this? Thancia thinks oops. Vernon said did you draw this? Thancia asked yes, it was just for fun. I was imagining the mechanics of a weapon like that. Vernon said, explain to me exactly how you imagined it. So, pulling the trigger here will launch the magical object in the direction it's aimed. What kind of magical object? How? A weapon that small won't be very powerful. It spins the small magical object to boost its power. It doesn't matter what properties the object possesses, as long as it's capable of setting off a large explosion. Thansha said like this? That's right. I hadn't thought of that. You're amazing. Vernon said, you're calling me amazing when you came up with a design this complex. Thansha said, I hadn't considered the practical aspects of it. That's something you can learn. You can't expect to have the knowledge I've honed over decades when you're only just taking your first steps in magical engineering. Vernon said, Lady Tanasia, I'll take you on as my student. Thansha said, really? Vernon said, yes. I only came here because I felt obligated to, but you've piqued my interest. Thansha said, I really must be a prodigy if I've managed to pique your interest. Vernon said, not you, your design. Thansha replied, oh. Vernon said, let's try making it. If we're lucky, we'll be able to create a truly formidable weapon. Thansha said, yes, teacher. Vernon said, by the way, Martella, I heard you bought the magically engineered bracelet I made. Martella said, how did you know it was me? Vernon said, how could I not? That bracelet is expensive. Give it here. Martella said, but I bought it to give to Lady Tanasia. Vernon said, I know. I'm assigning my students some homework. Can you tell what powers that bracelet has? She replied, and no. Vernon said, TSK, you're a student of mine, and you don't even know that? You're going to be an embarrassment to my name. Your homework is to figure out what elemental ability this bracelet possesses and how to use it before our next lesson. Thansha thinks I said I would try, but I don't even know where to start. Thansha said, what's the matter, Zirine? Zirine said, oh, Lady Tanasia. Well, Thansha looked at her questioningly. Zirine said, my lady? Thansha entered the room and saw Arskan lying on the ground, covered in blood. Leanna said, oh, Tanasia? There you are. Thansha saw Leanna beating him with a stick. Leanna said, come take a look at this. I brought it as a gift for you, but I ended up using it first. I had it custom made. Apparently, if you hit someone with this, the pain radiates all the way to the bone. Funnily enough, it also makes a very nice, clear sound. Want to hear it? Leanna beat him again. Thansha clenched the stick. Leanna said, what? Thansha waved her hand and tried to slap her. Leanna said, what was that just now? Thansha shouted and slapped her. Leanna covered her face and shouted, saying, Tanasia. What is the meaning of? Leanna fell to the ground. Thansha said, this is what you bring to me as a present. You are even more deplorable than I thought, Leanna. Leanna said, what? Deplorable? Have you forgotten the time you beat one of my servants in the Leanna manner? Thansha said, regardless of what may have happened in the past, I don't do those kinds of things anymore. So I'm warning you. If you mess with one of my people, I won't stop with a mere slap to the face. Leanna said, ha. What else would you do? Ruin my reputation in high society? Thansha said, do you really think I'll stop there? Try to be a little more imaginative. I'm the eldest daughter of Marquis Breloff. I will use every means at my disposal to utterly destroy you. Leanna said, I may be the daughter of a bar hostess, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like this. Do you think I'm lesser than that slave boy? Thansha said, think whatever you want, Lady Leanna. I look forward to it. Thansha said, Arskan. Are you all right? Just how badly did she beat you? Zirine. Summon the physician at once. Zirine replied, yes, my lady. Thansha said, here, lean on me. Do you think you could get up? Arskan said, why did you do that? Do what? Why on earth would you go that far for my sake? Why, Thansha said, Arskan. Wake up. Arskan. Arskan thinks again. I'm having this dream again. My body feels so heavy, can't run any further. I'll be caught soon. Thansha's finger goes up and she says, stay still for just a moment. Arskan grabs the towel and thinks, a wet towel? Thansha says, you're awake? How are you feeling? Arskan replies, I'm all right. What happened? Thansha says, don't you remember? You lost consciousness. You scared the living daylights out of me. Arskan thinks, right, Lady Krisha beat me, and at the end, I hardened my body into steel out of reflex. I'll have to leave this place sooner than planned. If anyone were to catch wind of what happened, those men will come for me. Arskan says, what are you doing? Thansha says, I'm checking your temperature. Stay still. Arskan replies, okay. Thansha says, what a relief. Your fever seems to have gone down. Arskan says, then, please remove your hand. You're making me feel uncomfortable. Thansha thinks, how strange. Why do I get the urge to mess with him? Thansha says, wait, Arskan. If you stay in those sweat-soaked clothes, your fever will spike again. Arskan says, I'm fine. I'll change after you leave, my lady. Thansha asks, why wait until then? You've changed in front of me plenty of times. Arskan says, different. Thansha asks, huh? What do you mean? How is it different? Arskan says, well, Thansha says, feeling shy, are you? Arskan says, shy? Of course not. Why are you laughing? Thansha says, sorry. I messed with you a little because the way you reacted was so funny. I wasn't actually trying to strip you, don't worry. I'd never do something like that. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, I don't do those kinds of things anymore. So I'm warning you. If you mess with one of my people, I won't stop with a mere slap to the face. Arskan says, why did you do that, my lady? Thansha says, huh? Oh, are you upset with me for messing with you? Arskan replies, no, not that. I don't understand why you went so far with Lady Lena. Thansha says, what about you? Why didn't you fight back? I'm sure you could have avoided getting hurt. Arskan says, well, I didn't want to put you in a difficult position. Thansha replies, you were worried that fighting back would give Lady Krisha something to hold over my head? Thansha replies, yes, that's all the more reason for me to take your side. Like I told you before, you're my page, which makes you one of my people. I will not allow anyone to hurt you like that. Arskan says, it's nice, being one of your people. Thansha replies, you only realize that now? She clenches his hand. But Arskan, Thansha says, do you mind letting go of my hand now? It's starting to ache. Arskan says, oh. I apologize, my lady. Why are you wearing that bracelet? Thansha says, huh? Can you tell what this bracelet is? Arskan says, yes, a little. Objects imbued with magic are dangerous. You should take it off at once. Thansha says, I can't. It's the homework my teacher gave me. Arskan says, homework? Thansha says, yes, I've been taking lessons in magical engineering recently. My teacher tasked me with finding out more about this bracelet. Arskan says, you put that dangerous object on without knowing anything about it? Thansha says, of course not. My theoretical knowledge is thorough. Given the color of the magic stones, it's most likely to be imbued with light magic. And silver was used to make the bracelet, a material that doesn't pair well with an expensive magic stone. Silver must have been used for a reason. Arskan says, then are you also aware that magical engineers, in order to prevent the theft of magically engineered items, place a locking mechanism on it? Thansha says, of course I am. I also know that if you tinker with it in the wrong way, it'll explode. Arskan says, you knew all that, yet you still agreed to do this homework? Thansha says, I'll be fine. My teacher seems a bit eccentric, but there must be a good reason he gave me this homework. Arskan says, all right, do as you please. Thansha replies, Arskan, are you worried about me? Arskan says, when did I ever say I was? Thansha smiles. Arskan says, think whatever you wish. Thansha says, you can be honest with me, you know. Arskan replies, well, now that I know you're awake and doing all right, I'll leave you to rest. Thansha says, let me know if anything's bothering you. Thansha thinks, I will not allow anyone to hurt you like that. To think I'd feel reassured by those words. Let's not think about it too deeply. I can't stay here much longer, anyway. Soon I won't be able to see Arskan thinks, Lady Tanasia ever again. Thansha thinks while Arskan was recovering, I focused on completing the homework my teacher had assigned. Was this bracelet previously owned by someone else? Or am I the first person to imprint on it? If so, I can simply place a drop of my blood on the magic stone. But if someone else was the bracelet's original owner, the locking mechanism will trigger and cause it to explode. No matter how eccentric my teacher is, he wouldn't have given me an assignment that could potentially put my life in danger, and I doubt his intention was for me to gamble on 50-50 odds. Then what is it, exactly, that he expects of me? If I start by asking that question, I can figure out what it is that I need to do. Given the color of the magic stone and the fact that the chain is made of silver, this bracelet is most likely imbued with light magic. But I can't be absolutely sure of that until I activate it myself. Even if light magic is the answer, simply deducing it logically isn't the point here. Vernon said, on what basis did you draw that conclusion? Thansha replied, it's light magic. She wrote, it's also dangerous to try imprinting on a bracelet that may already have an owner. Thansha thought, So what I must do is check whether the bracelet has an owner by taking it apart. And if there is no owner, I'll activate it myself to confirm whether it's imbued with light magic. Thansha said, "All right. Let's do this." Thansha said, "Are you doing better now?" Arskan replied, "Yes, my lady." Sirene said, "It's time for dinner, my lady." Thansha said, "I'll eat later." Vernon said, "Arskan." Arskan asked, "How is Lady Tanasia faring?" Sirene said, "She hasn't set foot outside her room today either. Whenever I come by to remind her to eat, she just asks me to leave some food by the door. I'm worried about her." Arskan said, "I will speak to her." Arskan knocked on the door and said, "Lady Tanasia, do you plan on staying in your room all day again today? You can't keep skipping meals." Thansha said, "Just leave me some food by the door. I'll eat it later." Arskan said, "You haven't touched any of the food we left at the door. If you don't eat this time either, we will report this to the Marquis." Thansha said, "Well, what will you do?" She thought, "Tanasia, is it true that you haven't eaten a proper meal in the past few days?" "I wanted to get this done while I was making good progress," she said. "I suppose you leave me no choice." "Fine. Bring in my dinner." Sirene said, "My lady, you'll collapse at this rate. Is something the matter? You've shut yourself up in your room for days." Another maid said, "If you keep going like this, you'll fall seriously ill." Thansha said, Sirene?" Sirene said, "Yes, Lady Tanasia. Is there something you need?" Thansha, exhausted, said, "Could you give us the room? All your puttering is already starting to make me feel nauseous." Sirene said, "Then I'll be right outside. Call me if you need anything." Thansha said, "All right." Thansha thought, "Right, I started dining with Arskan a while ago, so the cook's been making enough food for two." Thansha said, "It's been a while since we dined together. How have you been?" Arskan said, "The same as usual." Thansha said, "Really? That means you've been well, I hope." Arskan replied, "Yes." "And you've been eating 3 square meals a day?" "Yes." Thansha thought, "This feels awfully familiar. What's gotten into him? I mean, Arskan's always been a bit curt." Thansha said, "I have some more work to do, so I might end up skipping a few more meals. I'll ask to have food ready for you separately. I'll let the cook know later, so make sure you're eating properly, all right?" Arskan said, "Yes, my lady." "Lady Tanasia?" Thansha replied, "Yes?" Arskan said, "You need to remember to eat, even if you're dining alone. It's for your health." Thansha replied, "Huh? All right." Thansha thought, "Arskan's acting really strange today. Did something happen? I'd better talk to him once I'm done with my assignment." "All right. Now that I've confirmed that the bracelet has no owner, all I need to do is try activating it. Since I might accidentally wake people up if I use this magic in the manner, let me test it out where there aren't people around. Is this a good spot?" Zen said, "Who goes there? What are you doing out here at this late hour?" Thansha thought, "Isn't that Zen? Zen, Knight of the House of Breloff." Unbeknownst to the outside world, Zen was one of the Empire's top swordsmen, as well as a supporting character in the beloved Saintess. I'd better explain myself before Zen gets the wrong idea. "What? Arskan?" Zen wasn't talking to me, he was talking to Arskan. "What on earth is going on here?" Zen said, "Who's there? If you do not answer me, I shall draw my sword." Thansha thought, "He's carrying a bag, Arskan, could it be? You need to remember to eat, even if you're dining alone." Thansha thought, no wonder he was acting strange earlier. I was going to stop Zen right away, but I'd better not. If Arskan is planning to run away, and gets caught, he'll be punished for it. "Oh well, here goes nothing." Thansha said, "Arskan, come with me." Thansha clenched her hand and went, thinking the man blocking my way was no slouch. Had I fought him right then and there, I wouldn't have stood a chance. To run into him today of all days, but I've been given another chance. Should I make a run for it now? Should I shake off her hand? Thansha said, "Arskan, let's hide in my room for now." She shut the room door and said, "Phew, were you really intending to run away?" Arskan replied, "Yes." He thought she'll resent me for it. She might call me a traitor for trying to leave after how kindly she's been treating me. I could hardly blame her for returning to her experiments and beating me. In any case, I won't be able to go back to being on such good terms with her. On good terms? Thansha said. So you were planning something that major, yet you hid it from me completely. I can understand why you may not trust me, but I must say, I'm a little hurt, Arskan said. What? Thansha said. Give me your bag. How long were you planning to stay hidden with this measly sum? You'll need a lot more money if you're planning to get a new identity and stay in hiding. If I were you, I would have filched everything of value in this room long ago, Arskan said. Are you telling me I should have stolen from you? Thansha said. Weren't you going to run away anyway? You know runaway slaves who are caught get their feet cut off, right? Adding theft to that won't make much of a difference, Arskan said. What are you doing? Thansha said. Isn't it obvious? I'm giving you enough money to survive while you're on the run, Arskan replied. Money? Why would you do that? Thansha said. I just want to help you, Arskan replied. But why? You wanted to know more about my body. You asked me before to tell you how to gain an elemental ability. I don't know everything there is to know on the subject, but if you want, I can tell you everything I do know, Thansha said. What? You're still worried about that. As I already told you several times, I don't care about any of that anymore, Arskan said. Then why are you being so kind to me? Thansha replied. Like I said, I just want to help you, Arskan said. Do you really expect me to believe that? Thansha said. Fine. To be honest, I was only nice to you at first in order to win your favor, not because I wanted information about your body, but because I didn't want you to end up hating me. But every time I showed you kindness and saw you get all flustered, it made me realize that underneath it all, you're just like any other boy, and that made me just want to be nice to you, without any ulterior motives. That's all, Thansha said. Yes. I've told you everything. I have nothing else to tell, even if you ask. Sounds like someone's awake, Arskan said. I know that you want to get out of here, but tonight's not the night. I'll look for the perfect opportunity to sneak you out, so wait until then, Thansha said. Also, you should take more food and clothes with you when you leave, just in case. For now, let me grab you a cloak. This should fit you, right? She covered him and said, If anyone catches you with your bag, they'll be suspicious, so keep this cloak on and head back to your room. Make sure you're not noticed by anyone on the way. If someone spots you, just tell them you were following my orders. I'll handle the fallout, Arskan said. Do you really intend to help me run away? Thansha replied. Yes. Why would I be doing all this otherwise? I thought you and I had become pretty close. If possible, I wanted to keep you next to me and protected. But I'm not stopping you, because I assume this is what you want. All done. Walk along the edge of the hallway, not the middle, and use the rear entrance, all right? Then I'll see you tomorrow. Thansha thought, isn't it obvious? I'm giving you enough money to survive while you're on the run. Like I said, I just want to help you, but every time I showed you kindness and saw you get all flustered, it made me realize that underneath it all, you're just like any other boy, and that made me just want to be nice to you, without any ulterior motives. I am a little disappointed. I thought you and I had become pretty close. If possible, I wanted to keep you next to me and protected. Thansha thought, the manor was so quiet in the morning that the excitement of the previous night almost didn't feel real. I was also pretending to be ignorant on the outside, but my thoughts were a chaotic jumble. I used a bracelet with a magic stone last night. It's not something one can get their hands on easily. No doubt he'll figure out that I was the one who used it last night. Of all the people to catch me last night, it had to be a voice outside the door. Lord Breloff wishes to see you, Lady Tanasia. She thought it had to be Zen. He said, I will escort you to his office. Thansha thought, having read the novel, I know Zen is a man of few words, but to think he'd say so little. He's clearly cut from the same cloth as Arskan. Zen said, Lady Tanasia is here, my Lord Orland. Breloff said, Tell her to come in. Zen said, You may enter, my lady. Thansha said, All right, thank you. She thought, he's much scarier than Arskan. Thansha said, Father Orland? Breloff said, Come in, Tanasia. Have a seat over there. I'll join you after I'm done reading this document, Thansha said. Sure, take your time. She thought, oh dear. He looks really tired. Does he have a lot of work to do? Wait, could he have lost sleep due to all the commotion from last night? Brelov said. Tanasia, Zen said he spotted a suspicious individual last night, but someone cast a spell to prevent him from apprehending them. Do you have anything to say about that? Thansha thought, just as I thought, he knew I was the culprit. Father's giving me an opportunity to explain myself, Thansha replied. Yes, I'm the one who used light magic outside the manor last night. She thought if I tried to come up with a half-baked lie, I'll only make things worse. Brelov said. Martella told me that you hadn't yet imprinted on the bracelet, Thansha replied. In order to complete the homework Varnan gave me, I took the bracelet apart and engraved a new equation on it. I was testing it out yesterday to see whether it would work properly, Brelov said. Already? You haven't been learning magical engineering for very long yet, Thansha said. I chose the subject myself. It's so fun that I've been spending all my time studying, Brelov said. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, Thansha replied. Anyway, did someone suspicious sneak into the manor last night? Brelov said. I don't think so. There was no evidence that anyone had infiltrated or escaped the manor, Thansha replied. Then perhaps Zen simply spotted someone from the manor and mistook them for an intruder, Brelov said. Someone from the manor? Thansha said. Yes. Last night, I wanted to try using the bracelet right away, but I was afraid I might wake people up if I did it in the manor, so I went outside, Brelov said. But when I did, it was too dark to see anything, so I summoned my page, but he and I missed each other, Thansha replied. Perhaps that's who Zen saw? She thought Zen saw Arskan's silhouette last night. That was likely enough for him to deduce that the person was a boy, not a grown man, which means father probably knows it too. What I want to hide isn't the fact that Arskan was there, but that he was trying to run away. Admitting part of the truth will make things more convincing, Brelov said. That sounds plausible. But this place is none other than the manor in which you and Noxia reside. I consider the security of this manor to be a top priority. Even though he is your page, he was behaving suspiciously last night and should be investigated. However, given what you've told me, I will let the matter slide this time. But I won't allow it to happen again. If something like this happens again, not only will the incident be investigated thoroughly, regardless of guilt, but anyone who behaves suspiciously will be expelled from this manor, Thansha said. Of course, father. She thought, phew, what a relief. Thansha said. There is also something I wanted to speak to you about, father, Brelov said. What is it? Thansha replied. Could you find me a laboratory? Brelov said. A laboratory? Thansha replied. Yes. I'd like to properly learn magical engineering, but the manor is not the ideal place to do so. I believe a laboratory will be essential to prevent a repeat of what happened last night, Brelov said. All right. I shall build you a laboratory, Thansha said. What? You'll build one? Brelov said. Of course. Constructing a building is no trouble at all. I'm more than happy to support your education. I will have an expert keep you updated on the construction of the laboratory, Thansha replied. Thank you, father. Zen thought, my lord, while Lady Tanasia may be telling the truth, she's clearly hiding something. Brelov said. It's fine. I don't know what she's hiding, but I've warned her. Moreover, since she seems to be dedicating herself to her studies, I will let this matter go. On a different note, Brelov said, don't you think Tanasia takes after me? Zen said. Pardon? Brelov said. I thought she'd be frightened if I brought up what happened last night. The last thing I expected was for her to ask me for a laboratory. Give her an inch, and she'll take a mile. It pleases me to see that she has the potential to be a fine businesswoman. Perhaps I should have passed down one of my businesses to her instead of letting her study magical engineering. Zen thought, she's got him wrapped around her finger. Zen said. I've brought you tea, my lord. Brelov said. What? I didn't ask for tea. Zen said. Lady Tanasia asked that I bring some tea to help alleviate your fatigue. He thought, then I'd love some. The maid said. Let me know if you need anything while you dine, my lady. Thansha replied. Thank you. She thought, since father said he would let what happened last night go, I can stop worrying about it, right? Orland wasn't the type of person to speak out of both sides of his mouth. After all, he lived by the creed. A man's word is his bond. In other words, if something like this were to happen again, Arskan wouldn't be able to avoid punishment. I'll have to make thorough preparations to help Arskan escape the manor safely. Arskan said. Lady Tanasia. She replied. Come in. Thansha thought, what the, was Arskan not able to sleep last night either? Because of what happened, Arskan said. Did anything of note happen today? For instance, did someone come to see you or keep an eye on you all day? And did you put the jewels I gave you last night somewhere safe? You need to keep them well hidden. If someone finds them, they might get the wrong idea, Thansha said. Arskan? Arskan replied. Yes, they're safely tucked away, and nothing out of the ordinary happened, Thansha said. That's a relief. You don't need to worry about anything else. I spoke to father about what happened last night, and he said he'd let the matter go, Arskan said. The man I ran into last night was an exceptionally skilled knight. The Marquis may very well have realized something was fishy, Thansha said. It's all right. While I don't know what father may truly be thinking, the matter is closed, Arskan replied. Yes, my lady. Thansha thought, why is he avoiding my gaze? He's only picking at his food too. Does he still not trust me? The maid said. Here are your tea and refreshments. Let me know if you need anything else, Thansha replied. I will, thank you. After the maid left, Thansha said, Arskan, there's something I'd like to show you. You haven't yet decided where to go, have you? Arskan asked. This is, Thansha said, a map of Arwen. I was looking for some places you could settle in. How about here? It seems like an ideal place for you to hide out. It's in the south, so the climate is temperate, making it a nice place to live. It's far from the capital, but since it's the countryside, the people are kind. Outsiders occasionally move there and settle down, so all in all, I think this place would be ideal for you, Arskan said softly. My lady, Thansha replied. Yes? Arskan said. You're standing too close, Thansha replied. Huh! Oh, sorry, Arskan said. It's all right. Thansha thought, what's going on? It looks like he's got a fever. She asked. Are you all right? You're not sick, are you? Arskan replied. I'm fine, Thansha said. Let me check. Arskan clenched her hand and stepped back. Thansha said. Arskan? Arskan said. Lady Tanasia, are you like this with other people too? Thansha asked. What do you mean? Arskan replied. Do you go around checking everybody for fevers like you just did with me? Thansha said. What are you talking about? Why would I care if random people have fevers? I care because it's you, she added. Were you that opposed to the idea of me checking you? More importantly, your hand's really warm, Arskan said. Oh, I apologize, Thansha replied. It definitely looks like you have a fever, Arskan said. I don't have a fever. I just have a lot on my mind. I'll keep the region you mentioned in mind. Now that the meal is concluded, may I return to my room? Thansha replied. Sure. After Arskan left, the maid entered and asked. Did something happen, my lady? Thansha replied. No, why do you ask? The maid said. Arskan's face was beet red. I've never seen him like that before, Thansha asked. What's with that look in your eyes? The maid replied. It's nothing, my lady, Thansha said. You don't think I was bullying Arskan, do you? The maid replied. I didn't say anything of the sort. And even if you did, I have no right to say anything. I was just a bit surprised, given how kind you've been to Arskan as of late, Thansha said. I didn't do a thing to him, I swear. Arskan thought, how can she approach me so readily, without any reservations whatsoever? I was lying when I told Lady Tanasia that I'd hidden the jewels somewhere safe. I took them out and spent all night poring over them. If I weren't seeing them with my own eyes, I would have thought I'd dreamed the whole thing. At daybreak, when I finally fell asleep, for the first time since escaping the laboratory, I didn't have a nightmare. Instead, I dreamed of Lady Tanasia smiling brightly at me, But what just happened earlier? Her voice, her scent, they're so vivid that the version of her in my dream pales in comparison. I hadn't realized until now that Lady Tanasia was a maddeningly beautiful woman. Later, a man said, "Greetings, Lady Tanasia. It's an honor to make your acquaintance." "My name is Robin," another man said. "I'm Tyler," Robin continued. "We are here because Marquis Breloff informed us that we are to discuss all details of the laboratory we are to build," Thansha said. "Ah, yes. I've been waiting for you. Have a seat," she thought. So these two are the experts Father spoke of. Given that they were hired by Father, they must be trustworthy. Thansha asked. "Have you decided on a site for the laboratory?" Robin replied. "Yes, my lady. We've come up with a list of the best potential sites. We avoided locations too close to the city, and also eliminated anything too far away, as that would make travel difficult," Thansha said. "Out of these, I like this site the best, the one on the outskirts with the biggest lot," Robin asked. "Won't it be inconvenient for you to travel all the way out there?" Thansha replied. "Not at all. It's the perfect distance from the manor. Would you like to look at some sample blueprints of the exterior and interior?" Robin said. "Yes, please," Thansha said. "It's too ordinary," Robin asked. "Is there something you wanted in particular?" Thansha replied. "Yes. I'd like an underground bunker, as many secret passageways as possible, a room to store emergency rations, and exterior walls sturdy enough to withstand most attacks," Tyler said. "Lady Tanasia, that sounds like a fortress," Thansha replied. "That's right," she thought. "Since we're constructing a building anyway, it'd be a waste to use it as just a laboratory," Thansha said firmly. "That's exactly what I want," Tyler said. "To build the kind of structure you're describing, we first need permission from the Imperial Court," Robin added. "Legally, we cannot build something that's capable of attacking the Imperial Palace without prior permission," Thansha replied. "I know that," Robin continued. "All I want is to build fortified exterior walls and a few secret passageways," Thansha asked. "Is it the idea of a bunker that makes you uncomfortable?" Robin raised his hand and said, "Oh, no. Come to think of it, you're right. It shouldn't be a big deal to add those features," Tyler cautioned. "But it could be a problem if someone decides to make it one," Thansha said. "That's why I need the two of you. I don't care what the exterior of the building looks like. Make it seem as ordinary and nondescript as possible." She thought, what's important is the interior. "I'm looking forward to seeing a laboratory that includes all the features I just mentioned," secretly. Robin and Tyler replied. "Of course, Lady Tanasia. Marquis Breloff asked us to build the laboratory according to your wishes. We'll be back with an updated blueprint, and we'll try to procure the materials you mentioned," Thansha said. "Wonderful. I look forward to our next meeting," she thought. "I am figuring out more and more ways to avoid certain death. Everything is going according to plan." What was that sound? She stepped out of the room and saw Noxia using magic. "Ah, Noxia's practicing her elemental ability," Noxia said. "Phew," Thansha thought. At this rate, she might end up fainting from exhaustion. While Noxia was blessed with plenty of innate mana, not even she can keep drawing from that well without any rest. In order to compensate for the shortcomings of the mana within a person's body, I need to develop a way for them to continue drawing mana from a magic stone. Well, approaching her now will only hinder her progress. Let me head back quietly." Suddenly, Noxia stumbled and said, "Oh, ugh!" Thansha cried out. "Noxia!" Noxia replied. "Tanasia? What are you doing here?" Thansha answered. "I was passing by when I heard a loud noise." "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" Noxia replied. "Oh, yes, I'm all right. The water I intended to put into the glass moved and," Thansha said. "Let me see. You're bleeding quite heavily. We need to stop the bleeding. Do you have a handkerchief or something like it?" Noxia replied. "No, I forgot to bring one with me." Thansha thought. "I left mine behind too," she said. "Hold on, let me call a maid and—" Then she thought, "Oh no, now it's raining too? What terrible timing?" Thansha asked. Can't you stop the rain with your ability? Noxia replied. Normally I'd be able to create an umbrella out of water, but I think I'm too tired to attempt it right now. Sorry, Thansha said. It can't be helped. She tore a piece of cloth from her shirt and tied it around Noxia's hand. Noxia exclaimed. Titanasia? Thansha said. We can use this to staunch the bleeding, at least for now. Be careful not to get any rainwater on your cut. I'll go to the manor to get the maids. Noxia protested. What? In the rain? Thansha replied. Don't worry, I'll be right back. Wait there underneath the tree. Later, a maid said, Oh my, Lady Noxia. Did you get rained on? Noxia answered. My dress is a little wet, that's all. The maid said, But you may catch a cold. I'll prepare a bath for you after your wound is treated. Noxia replied. Thank you. Thansha thought, Thank goodness I was passing by Noxia just then. The cut wasn't life-threatening, but with the heavy rain, it would have been quite the predicament if Noxia were out there all by herself. Oh, there's blood on my dress. I'd better wash my hands at least. Nearby, one maid whispered, Did you see? Lady Noxia's been hurt. Another asked, Why? What happened? The first replied, According to what the other maids were saying, Lady Noxia got injured when Lady Tanasia pushed her from behind. Another maid gasped. What? Really? I thought she'd been uncharacteristically quiet lately. She probably saw Lady Noxia practicing her ability and got jealous. Thansha listened quietly behind the door and thought, No wonder my ears were burning. Noxia's maids have been bad-mouthing me behind my back all this time. I'd better tell them off at once, but frankly, given how Tanasia behaved in the original novel, they're not too far off the mark. Let's not make a big deal out of it. It's not like I didn't know I'd have a terrible reputation. It might give me more peace of mind to ignore what strangers say about me. Just then, Noxia said sharply, How dare you say such terrible things? A maid replied. Tanasia ran around in the rain to have my wound treated as soon as possible. Noxia continued, How can you make such wild accusations when you don't even know what really happened? The maid stammered. Lady Noxia. Thansha thought, Noxia? What's Noxia doing in this wing of the manor? One maid insisted. But it's true that Lady Tanasia's been bullying you all these years. Another added. That's right. You're too trusting for your own good. She might be planning something wicked again. Noxia snapped. Stop it! I guess I misjudged you too. In the past, I let such comments pass because I thought they came from a place of concern for me. But this time, you crossed a line. Noxia said she'll discuss this with the butler and decide on a suitable punishment for them for spreading false rumors in the manor. The maid said, But Lady Noxia. Noxia replied that they may take their leave and that she'd like to be alone right now. Noxia thought she was glad that was over and that she'd just give it a few minutes before getting out. Noxia then said, Tanasia, you're in the bathroom, aren't you? I'm sorry. You'd gone off somewhere, so I was looking for you, but I never imagined you'd end up overhearing something so terrible. Let me apologize on their behalf. It seems my maids are overprotective of me because of the excessive whining and complaining I've done. Noxia came out of the bathroom and said there was no need to apologize, that it wasn't like what they said was completely inaccurate, and that she wouldn't mind it, so either should Tanasia. Noxia added that she'd still be more careful in the future, and that if Tanasia's feelings were hurt, she shouldn't hesitate to tell her. Tanasia replied that she was fine, really, and then asked why Noxia was practicing her ability all by herself and said she should have at least brought a maid along. Noxia replied that she figured they'd get tired of watching her do the same thing over and over for hours. Tanasia reacted in surprise, asking if she'd really been practicing for that long, and Noxia answered yes, explaining that the symposium was coming up. Tanasia thought about the symposium in the original novel, a conference held every few years for people with special abilities to showcase their accomplishments or improvements and network with each other, a massive event attended by people from nearby kingdoms and empires, where the person who'd made the most improvement in a short period of time was highlighted. She realized that was why Noxia had been practicing so much, even putting herself at risk of injury. Tanasia said it must be tiring, Noxia. and Noxia asked what she meant. Tanasia explained that having to work hard to stay as good as she was must be exhausting. Noxia replied that she was all right and that it was what she'd always been doing, then hesitantly asked if Tanasia was patting her on the head. Tanasia said yes, because she was proud of all the hard work Noxia was putting in and all the things she'd done for her sake, thanking her for everything. Noxia thought she was so happy, while Tanasia reflected that she hadn't wanted to get too involved in Noxia's life. But she was so sweet and adorable that she couldn't help but care. She then thought about how the symposium was where the storyline further developed in the novel, where Noxia and Rohel, who had initially met in the palace, would run into each other again, and where the secondary male protagonist who would fall in love with Noxia would make his first appearance. She wondered what she should do, questioning whether it was really all right to leave things between Noxia and Rohel as they were, and concluding that it might be best not to meddle anymore. Teacher then said that Tanasia had been so eager to learn magical engineering from him, yet now seemed distracted. Tanasia denied it, saying there was just something she needed to think about, but teacher sharply replied that it was none of his concern and warned her not to embarrass him at the symposium. Confused, Tanasia asked what he meant about the symposium, and teacher said that Martella must not have told her yet, and revealed that he would be a judge at this year's symposium. Tanasia asked if that meant she was attending the symposium as well, and teacher responded of course, asking if she really saw herself as an ordinary person and calling her a prodigy in magical engineering. Tanasia said she hadn't wanted to tell him this because she didn't want him to get a big head, but it had taken her 10 years to decompose a magic stone, while Tanasia had been able to do it just by reading books, making her more than qualified to participate. She then clarified that he wanted her to attend the symposium and showcase her skills, and teacher confirmed it, handing her something. Tanasia realized they were the blueprints of the gun she had designed and said it wasn't complete yet, but teacher replied that it didn't have to be a finished product and that simply showing people she was developing a weapon like that would be enough to amaze everyone. Tanasia questioned whether this had been his plan all along when he accepted her as a student, to reveal her invention to the world, and teacher bluntly asked if she had a problem with that, saying he wanted to show everyone the full potential of magical engineering. Tanasia realized this meant she could also be at the symposium and observe how the situation developed, so she agreed and said she'd try developing the weapon. However, she reflected that a weapon made with magic stones couldn't be used indefinitely, like her light magic bracelet that was only good for 3 uses, and that a gun made with magical engineering would become useless after about 3 shots. She concluded that if she wanted something worth showcasing, those 3 shots needed to be incredibly powerful. Arskan then addressed her, calling her my lady, and asked what she was thinking about so intently, warning that she was about to bump into a column. Tanasia thanked him and said she was off to meet her teacher again, mentioning she was busy with the upcoming symposium and telling Arskan that he should be prepared to attend as well. Surprised, Arskan asked if she wanted him to accompany her, and Tanasia replied that of course he would follow wherever she went. Arskan agreed, and Tanasia remarked that she thought he'd refuse again, but Arskan said he couldn't exactly refuse her orders. Tanasia then said she was off to Varnan's laboratory, and Arskan asked if she'd be home early, mentioning that today was the anniversary of Lady Orland Breloff's death. Tanasia realized that the person Arskan referred to as Lady Orland Breloff was the only woman her father, Orland Breloff, ever loved, and Noxia's and her mother, Charlotte Lee Rosina. She concluded that her father must already be drunk and, having read the original book, knew exactly how Charlotte had died. She asked where her father was right now, while Arskan handled laboratory items and thought about Charlotte, remembering clearly the bright summer day they first met, when a girl asked his name and he recalled that moment with Charlotte, his nanny's daughter, before a maid scolded her for addressing the young master so informally. "Manor," he replied, "I'm Orland. Orland thinks I was only 8 years old, and Charlotte was 5. Back then, we didn't really understand our difference in social status, so we addressed each other formally when adults were around." "Orland," said Charlotte. Tensha saw the both and said, "The maid, young master." She said, "Orland." "Orland thinks," and called each other by our first names when we were alone, because we'd been together since we were little. Charlotte was a part of practically every single moment of my life. I saw her go from an adorable little kid to a mischievous, adventurous girl, and then grow up even more into a beautiful young woman. No one understood me as well as Charlotte did, and no one else I found as enjoyable to spend time with, yet for far too long I was unaware of my feelings for her. Charlotte said, "I think I'm going to be married soon." Orland said, "What?" Charlotte said, "I'm already at that age. My mother's been on my case about getting married. I was recently set up with the son of the general store on Main Street." Orland thinks I can't believe what I'm hearing. Charlotte is marrying somebody else? She's going to be tied for life to some other man, have children that resemble the two of them, raise them, and live happily ever after? Not understanding the reason for the overwhelming emotions rising within me, I hurried to intervene in Charlotte's meetings with eligible bachelors. I'd pay the men a visit and scare them into backing off, and if they didn't listen, I didn't hesitate to demonstrate to them the extent of my power and authority. Orland thinks she's nowhere near good enough for my Charlotte. Charlotte was the one who put a stop to it. Charlotte said, "That's enough, Orland." Orland replied, "What do you mean?" Charlotte said, "I know you've been scaring off all of my potential suitors. If your concern is that I will end up in an unhappy marriage, really, that's quite enough." Orland said, "Charlotte, I just want you to." Charlotte said, "I appreciate your concern, but I'll be the one to make decisions about my own life. I'm respectfully asking you to stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong." Orland thinks Charlotte wasn't the kind of woman to let anyone control her. No one would be immune to her charms after seeing how tough and strong-willed she was. That's when I finally realized what the oppressive feeling that had overtaken me was, and I was entirely at fault for the childish way I'd been acting. Orland said I did it because I was afraid. Charlotte said, "What?" Orland replied, I can't live without you, and the thought of you ending up with another man pained me more than words can say." Charlotte replied, "What are you talking about?" Orland said, "I care for you. No, I love you." Charlotte said, "Orland, don't joke about something like that. It's not funny." Orland said, "It's not a joke. I wouldn't joke about something like this. Let's drop this. I need to get going." Wait. Charlotte said, "Let go of me." Orland said, "Wait, Charlotte. Listen to." Charlotte shouted, "Please stop, young master. Do you really think you and I will be able to be together? We should know better. Neither of us is a child anymore." Orland thinks Charlotte was right. We weren't children anymore. Growing up, we were constantly reminded of the vast chasm between our social statuses. So the moment I saw that look in Charlotte's eyes, I realized what I needed to do. To think I was just fixated on interfering with Charlotte's matchmaking, what a fool I was. Orland said, "Charlotte, wait for me. I will become so powerful that no one would dare speak ill of our love." Charlotte said, "Orland." He replied, "I will make it so that the whole world has no choice but to acknowledge our love. I promise you that." Orland thinks once I succeeded as Marquis, I grew the family's businesses and raised its social standing, and made the House of Breloff one of the most powerful in all of Arwen, all so that I could wed Charlotte without any opposition or criticism. Charlotte said, "Orland, I know you have plenty of women vying for your hand in marriage. If you choose a common, ordinary woman like me as your wife, you will surely regret it one day." Orland came near and replied, "You're wrong, Charlotte." Orland hugged her and said, "I will surely regret it if I let you go," and kissed her. Orland thinks our first kiss. Days when I treated her like glass, fearing that her tiny, delicate self might shatter in my arms. Charlotte was breathtakingly beautiful in her white wedding dress, and I was the happiest man on earth. And when I first held Tanasia and Noxia in my arms, I was completely content and couldn't possibly desire anything more. Loving Charlotte, marrying her, having children with her, I thought all that was left for Charlotte and me was to grow old together. One day she vomited blood, fell to the floor, and she said weakly, "Orland." Orland shouted, "Hold on. The physician will be here soon." And Orland thinks while I was away for a few days on a business trip, an unknown assailant broke into my home and attacked Charlotte. By the time I arrived, everything was over. She said weakly, "Just promise me one thing, that you'll take good care of Tanasia and Noxia." Orland said, What are you talking about?" "No, don't say a word. You'll just end up losing more blood, Charlotte said. Please, promise me that even without me around, you do your best to raise Tanasia and Noxia well. Tears filled Orlan's eyes as he said, don't say that. Of course you're going to be around. Why would you say something like that? I'm never going to promise you such a thing. So don't leave me. Orlan thinks yes, I will. I promise, Charlotte, that I'll raise our daughters well, even without you by my side. I promise. Had Charlotte not asked me to look after Tanasia and Noxia, I would have joined her in death that very same day. Even now, over a decade since Charlotte's passing, I can vividly recall the moment she took her last breath. Had I at least been able to find the culprit who killed Charlotte and avenge her death, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to drink myself into a stupor. The person who dared to sneak into the Breloff villa and take Charlotte's life. Ever since, I've been investigating the attack and trying to track down the culprit, but I could find neither hide nor hair of them. The attacker is no mere commoner. If they were, they wouldn't have been able to remain hidden for so long. Who could possibly be this adept at evading capture? Orlan Breloff said, I don't believe I gave you permission to enter Zen. He replied, you've overindulged, and you're not usually much of a drinker in the first place. Orlan said, I need more. This isn't nearly enough. What is this? Zen replied, one of the kitchen maids was pacing in front of the door with a tray of food that will pair well with your drink and help lessen your hangover tomorrow. Orlan said, I didn't ask the kitchen for this. Zen said, Lady Tanasia made the request. Orlan said, Tanasia? Zen replied, yes, she told the kitchen maids that she was worried you'd get sick drinking so heavily on an empty stomach. I've brought you tea, my lord. Orlan said, what? I didn't ask for tea. Zen said, Lady Tanasia asked that I bring some tea to help alleviate your fatigue. Orlan smiled, haha, and thinks ever since I lost Charlotte, every day has felt like hell on earth. But it seems my daughter's grown up into a fine, considerate young lady while I wasn't paying attention. Orlan said, all I do is worry Tanasia, it seems. Zen thinks Orlan was usually away on business, and Noxia skipped breakfast, since she tended to sleep in. But every year, the whole family ate breakfast together the morning after the anniversary of my mother's death. Noxia and Tanasia said, good morning, father. Orlan replied, good morning, darlings. You're both up early. Both replied, yes, I woke up fairly quickly this morning. Orlan said, let's eat. Tanasia, thank you for sending over the food last night. Tanasia said, oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I sent over the tray because I didn't want you to drink so much without eating anything. Orlan replied, I see. Thank you. Tanasia said, why don't I join you next time, father? Orlan said, huh? Join me? Tanasia replied, yes, I'll drink something non-alcoholic, and once I'm of age, we can share a drink. 2 is better than 1, isn't it? Noxia said, isn't liquor bad for your health? I don't want you or father to drink too much of it. Tanasia said, there are times in life when you need a good, stiff drink. You'll understand when you're older. Noxia replied, is that so? Orlan said, Tanasia, you make it sound like you've had your fair share of drinks before. Tanasia thinks, shoot, I spoke without thinking. Orlan said, all right, Tanasia. Let's do that. I never thought of that before, but it sounds like a good idea. Next year, we'll drink together. Noxia raised her hand and said, then I'll join too. 3 is better than 2, isn't it? Orlan replied, sure, sure. Tanasia thinks a family, something I never got to have in my previous life. Mommy, Daddy, I don't recall it perfectly, but I get snatches of Tanasia's childhood memories from time to time. In my past life, I had no family, so those memories feel especially precious to me. After being reborn in this world, survival has been my only goal. But as of today, I have another objective: find the person responsible for the death of my mother, Charlotte. Because the original novel hadn't been concluded when I read it, I have no idea who the culprit is. The fact that the truth behind Charlotte's death had remained a secret in the novel for so long could indicate that it was the work of some immense, nefarious person or group lurking in the shadows. If I'm to survive in this world and catch my mother's killer, the first thing I need to do is build this gun. Arskan handed her a cup of tea and said, have some tea while you work. Tanasia replied, thanks, Arskan, take a look at this. Arskan said, is that the magically engineered weapon you're working on, my lady? Tanasia replied, that's right. What do you think? Arskan said, it's quite a unique design. It seems like it'd be easy to use, given its relatively small size, but it makes me wonder if it'd have enough power to be an effective weapon. Tanasia said, you're right. I need to improve its firepower first and foremost. Arskan replied, what property does the weapon possess? She said, fire. It works by spinning a fire magic stone, which reinforces its firepower and triggers a large explosion. Arskan said, in that case, how about adding something that can amplify the fire? Tanasia replied, huh? Amplify it? Arskan said, yes. For instance, a magic stone that possesses the property of wind. Tanasia said, what? Put in another magic stone? She thinks so. Why didn't I think of that? Given the size of the gun, it can only fit a single magic stone. There is a limit to the firepower that can be generated by a firestone of that size, but if I insert a firestone and a windstone, each half the size, I can amplify the gun's firepower through the synergy of both stones. I was so focused on the design of the gun itself that I hadn't considered the possibility of making adjustments to the stone, she said. Arskan. She hugged him and said, thank you. You're a genius. Arskan said, you figured out the solution? Tanasia said, yes. She smiled. With the adjustment, I think the gun will be able to generate the amount of firepower I want. I can finally build it for real. Arskan said, I'm glad to be of help, in any way. Tanasia said, oh. I'm sorry for hugging you out of the blue like that. Did I make you uncomfortable? Arskan said, no, I'm alright. Does this mean you won't have to visit that teacher of yours as often anymore? Tanasia said, after I drop off all these reference materials and tell him about my breakthrough, I don't think I'll need to pay him any visits for a while. Arskan said, that's welcome news as well. She thinks, why is that welcome news? She said, can you accompany me to his laboratory this afternoon? I have a lot of stuff to bring with me. Arskan replied, yes, my lady. Tanasia said, Arskan? This way. Arskan replied, slow down. You might trip and fall. Tanasia smiled happily and said, teacher. The teacher said, what brings you here at this hour? Tanasia replied, I finally found a solution. The teacher replied, a solution? Tanasia replied, yes, a way to boost the gun's firepower. I think we'll be able to increase it dramatically by refining and installing a firestone and a windstone. The teacher looked and said, oh. And this is how you propose the stones be refined? Tanasia replied, that's right. The teacher said, it's worth a try. Excellent work. I'd expect nothing less from my star student. The teacher then encouraged Arskan, patting his head, and said, and who would this be? Arskan nodded his head. Tanasia said, oh, this is my page. I brought him with me since I had a lot to carry. Arskan said, where should I put these books, Lady Tanasia? Tanasia said, can you put them in that empty bookshelf? Arskan replied, yes, my lady. The teacher said, anyway, now it's time to actually construct it. Tanasia said, yes, that's why I hurried over. There's a specific metal I had in mind for the gun, and I wanted to get your advice on it. The teacher said, really? Which metal are you thinking of using? Tanasia replied, I was thinking, and trailed off. The teacher said, Tanasia? She replied, yes? The teacher whispered in her ear, that page of yours. He's been glaring daggers at me since earlier. Whisper. It's terrifying. Have you been starving him or something? Tanasia said, of course not. I'm very nice to him. Tanasia thinks, Arskan, maybe he finds the laboratory unsettling? The teacher said, then I'll contact you as soon as the parts are finished. She replied, all right, I'll be in touch as well. Tanasia said, how did you find my teacher's laboratory, Arskan? It's smaller than you expected, isn't it? Arskan replied, it was certainly not a fitting place for a lady like yourself. It was cramped and messy. Tanasia said, really? I don't care about that though. In fact, the disorder sort of relaxes me in a way. Arskan replied, is that so? You're surprisingly easygoing. Tanasia said, it seems like the laboratory wasn't really to your liking though. Arskan replied, me? Tanasia said, am I wrong? You seemed upset while we were there. Don't worry, I won't make you come with me next time. I just needed your help carrying those heavy books. Arskan said, Oh, had I not accompanied you today, you would have been alone with that man, no? Tanasia said, Huh? I suppose so, yes, Arskan said. This teacher of yours? Who is he to you, my lady? Are you possibly harboring romantic feelings towards him? Tanasia replied, What? Don't be ridiculous. Arskan said, The two of you seemed awfully close. He cavalierly tried to stroke your hair, approached you to whisper in your ear, and your eyes sparkled while you were talking to him. Tanasia said, Arskan, do you even know how old my teacher is? Arskan replied he appeared to be at least over 50 years old. She replied, And you know how old I am? Arskan said, Yes, my lady. You're the same age as I am. Tanasia said, Yet you're asking whether I harbor romantic feelings towards him? While I don't believe age should be a barrier to love, I'd personally prefer to see someone closer to my age. I respect him as a teacher and an expert in the field of magical engineering, but that's all. What on earth made you think that? Had my teacher heard this, he'd have laughed his head off. Arskan said he was standing entirely too close to you, my lady, and you didn't seem to mind his proximity either. Tanasia said we were just having a conversation. What does that have to do with your dislike of his laboratory? Arskan said, What does that have to do with your dislike of his laboratory? Tanasia replied, And? Arskan said, It's not that I dislike the laboratory. Rather, upon seeing you on such friendly terms with another person, this happened. Tanasia thinks his finger turned to steel. Arskan said, There was a moment when I felt my control over my abilities slipping, and my finger has been like this since we were at the laboratory. She thinks, my goodness, he became emotional because my teacher and I seem to be close. I know how dedicated Arskan has been to his duties as my page, but I never imagined he'd be so overprotective. And not being able to control his ability, that's dangerous. If Arskan were ever to lose his temper, it could endanger not just me but others as well. Tanasia said, I see, all right. I'll make an effort to maintain a reasonable distance from others. Shouldn't be too difficult. Arskan said, Really? Tanasia replied, Yes. I wouldn't want people to get the wrong idea anyway. That being said, you should look for a way to control your ability, so that you don't end up using it out of anger over such a trivial matter. Arskan said, That's easier said than done. Tanasia said, I know that, which is why I'll help in any way I can. Arskan replied, In that case, could I ask you for a favor? Tanasia said, A favor? Arskan replied, Yes. Tanasia said, Once I am able to control my ability, give me a reward. Arskan said, I know it's for my own sake, but once I'm able to control my ability the way you want, I'd like a reward. She replied, Is there something you want in particular? Tanasia thinks he's so hesitant. What could he possibly want? As far as I can tell, Arskan doesn't seem to be the type to covet material goods at all. Tanasia said, All right. Think about what you might want. Once you're able to control your ability, I'll give you whatever I can. Arskan said, Really? Tanasia replied, Of course. I wouldn't lie to you about this. What if, Arskan said, I were to ask for something very rare and precious? Tanasia replied, Well, in that case, I'll mentally prepare myself. All right. She thinks rare and precious. He's not going to ask me to give up my life or something, is he? Arskan said, All right. Arskan said, We came up with a new design based on your feedback from our last meeting. As for the secret passageways here, I commissioned a different expert for each one, so no one but me knows the overall floor plan of the laboratory. The blueprints will be destroyed as soon as the construction of the laboratory is complete, and I won't speak of this to anyone, so there's no need for you to worry. Tanasia said, I'm not worried about that. She thinks I've only met Robin twice, so I don't exactly trust him yet. However, my father is the one who introduced them to me, and I trust my father. She said, I like it. Please begin construction according to these blueprints. Arskan said, Since you wanted the structure to look ordinary, the plan is to use plain brick on the outside and vulcanium on the inside. Tanasia said, Vulcanium? Tyler said, Yes, it's an ore, a special material used to build fortresses. Its name means unbreakable. We'll take special care when constructing the basement bunker and fill it with this material. Tanasia said, sounds good. Since you're far more knowledgeable in this area than I am, I'll trust your expertise. I will give you sufficient time for construction, so make sure it's built perfectly. Tyler and Robin said yes, Lady Tanasia. She thinks construction of the laboratory began, and with my teacher's help, I started building the gun in earnest. As I continued my research, constantly tweaking the gun's design and refining the magic stones, the day of the symposium was fast approaching. Tyler said, here, they've all arrived, the rest of the parts you asked for. The teacher said, assemble all the parts you've made so far. Tanasia replied, will do. Phew, the teacher said, hey kid, good to see you again. Tanasia said, hello? Tyler thinks, what an unfriendly kid. Tanasia saw the gun and thought, it's complete. The teacher said, congratulations. You've made your first weapon. Tanasia said, thank you, teacher. Without you, I'd never have gotten this far. The teacher said, no need to thank me. Tanasia replied, now all that's left is to see it in action. The teacher said, I cleared a lot for you before you came. I made sure no one would pass by the area, so let's go test that thing out. Tanasia thinks, now that I'm here, I feel nervous about actually firing it. What if it misfires? Arskan said, let me do it, my lady. Tanasia replied, huh? You want to fire it? Arskan said, yes. This is the very first test. Since it might backfire and injure you, I think it'd be a better idea for me to try firing it first. Tanasia replied, but Arskan stepped closer and whispered in her ear, my body is special, remember? Don't worry. Even if it misfires, I can turn my body into steel, so I won't be injured. Tanasia replied, all right then. Thank you. First, you need to shed a drop of blood on the magic stone in order to imprint on the weapon. Arskan said, yes, my lady. Tanasia said, wrap your hands around the gun like this. Tanasia said, stretch your arms out to shoot. You need to align the target with the sight to aim accurately. Then, look at the target with both eyes wide open. Arskan said, then, look at the target with both eyes wide open. Tanasia replied, all right. Arskan aimed at the target, holding the gun in his hand, and fired, resulting in a powerful explosion and a shot. The teacher said, ha, ha, ha. I knew it. This will surely blow everyone away at the symposium. Tanasia said, Arskan, are you all right? Arskan replied, don't worry, my lady, there are no problems with the weapon. Tanasia said, I'm not talking about the weapon. I mean you. You're not hurt, are you? Arskan said, no, I'm fine. The recoil was stronger than I expected, so I was just a bit surprised. Tanasia said, are you sure? We'd better check to see if you're injured anywhere. The teacher shouted, wonderful, Tanasia. Excellent work. I'm so proud of you. And the teacher hugged Tanasia, then pushed back and said, let's go, Arskan. The teacher said, wait, what was that? Oh, come on. You're just going to leave me hanging? Tanasia replied, I'm not a child. Were you expecting me to leap into your arms and jump for joy? The teacher said, humph. Arskan said, my lady? Why did you do that? Tanasia replied, do what? Arskan said, it seemed like you were avoiding your teacher just now. She replied, because I'm trying not to act overly friendly with other people. You said you didn't like that. Arskan said, oh, Arskan thinks so, that's what she was worried about. Tanasia said, Arskan, how are your wrists and arms? Are you feeling any pain? Arskan said, I'm completely fine. I didn't even need to transform my body into steel. But I must say, I was rather surprised by the weapon you made, my lady. She replied, huh? Why? I didn't think something so small would be so powerful. And it occurred to me, just how amazing you are. You've been working so hard, staying up all those nights and skipping meals. Now I see it was all for the purpose of creating such a remarkable weapon. Frankly, I admire your dedication. Tanasia said, really? Arskan replied, yes. She thinks Arskan isn't the type to say things he doesn't mean. It's a nice feeling, being complimented by him like this. Tanasia said, let's eat something when we get home. Maybe it's because all the tension has left me, but I'm starving. Arskan replied, yes, my lady. On the other side, Noxia said, congratulations, Tanasia. This means you can now attend the symposium with me, right? Tanasia replied, yes, that's right. We're in different fields though, so we'll be apart more often than together. Orlan said, I'm excited to hear both of you will be taking part in the symposium. You're already doing great, so don't worry about how you might place. Just enjoy yourselves. Tanasia said, don't worry, father. I'm happy just to be participating. Tanasia thinks besides, I'm not attending this symposium to make a name for myself. I just want to see for myself how the story is progressing. Orlan said, Martella told me you created a new magically engineered weapon. Tanasia replied, you've already heard. Yes, I'm planning to showcase it at the symposium. Orlan said, then I can see it for myself there, since I plan on attending. She replied, what? Orlan said, didn't I mention it before? The House of Breloff is a sponsor of the symposium. As the largest donor to the symposium every year, I'm given the privilege of attending as a spectator. Tanasia said, then how come you've never attended before? Orlan replied, although it is my right as a donor, it's ultimately a means of leveraging my power and authority. But with both of you attending, I don't want to miss this year's event. When else will I get to see both of you showcase your skills? Orlan thinks Noxia does not know this, but, in the original novel, Orlan was more dedicated to his role as a husband than as a father. He was preoccupied with finding Charlotte's killer. Although he did love his daughters, in the book he wasn't able to pay them any attention. Seeing him change this way, I don't dislike it. In fact, I love it. In my past life, I had no family, so I didn't know what it'd be like for my parents to take an interest in my studies. But now, I think I have an inkling of how it might feel. Tanasia said, hearing that you'll be in the audience is getting me even more fired up. She thinks it feels like I'm being cared for. Noxia said, me too. I'll work even harder to make you proud, father. Orlan replied, just have fun. I'm already proud of you both. She replied, thank you, father. Tanasia thinks the day of the symposium. Noxia said, there are 2 carriages. Tanasia, are you planning to take a separate carriage to the symposium? Tanasia replied, since we'll be staying there for several days, we have a lot of cargo. 1 carriage doesn't seem like enough for it all. Noxia said, I suppose so, then I'll see you later at the symposium. Tanasia said, yes, see you there. Tanasia thinks, by the way, Tanasia said, I wonder who else is attending the symposium. Tanasia thinks other than Noxia, Rohel, and the secondary male protagonist who will later fall in love with Noxia. I don't recall who else attended it in the book. The maid said, my lady, I heard Lady Krisha will attend the symposium as well. Tanasia replied, Lady Krisha? Tanasia thinks I hadn't considered that possibility, but since Leanna also possesses an elemental ability, it makes sense for her to attend. That was the last time Leanna and I met. Tanasia said, huh? Are you too worried that Leanna and I are going to end up fighting again? The maid said, oh, of course not, my lady. You wouldn't do that. Arskan said, yes, I am. You two never made up that day and parted on bad terms. It was an unnecessary argument in the first place. It's all my fault, Tanasia said, Arskan. I don't regret fighting with her that day at all, so don't worry about it. Also, I don't care if Krisha tries to pick a fight with me. To be honest, I'm actually sort of hoping for it. Because if she does, I'll make her rue the day she thought she could mess with me. As whispers spread through the crowd, one girl leaned in and said, oh my, who is she? And another replied, oh, that's Lady Noxia's twin sister, the half-wit who didn't inherit any special powers. What's she doing here? While others murmured, I don't know. Maybe she came to support her sister? And did the Marquis of Breloff feel sorry for her and let her tag along? Hearing all this, Tanasia thought coldly, look at these idiots. Oh no, but she quickly spoke up. Arskan, don't mind what others say. I don't care what they say. To which Arskan answered, I am concerned. Making her thoughts spiral, what if Arskan uses his powers here out of control? Yet she reassured him firmly. No, don't worry about it. It's an order. We can't hear them here. We can't hear them here. But Arskan muttered, this is unfair, prompting her to clear her throat and say, huh? I came here to avoid hearing unpleasant things, and now you're saying that I'm the one being unfair? Flustered, Arkan replied. I didn't mean that. While thinking, she's redirected my attention elsewhere. Never mind, and then Asia simply said, before adding calmly, that's bland. Anyway, don't react to everything and get upset about it. My worth isn't something to be determined by others. I determine it myself. Since I'm here with proper qualifications, I won't be intimidated. So you should straighten up, got it? Which made Arskan reply. It sounds like something a lady would say. Soon, they arrived at the Magic Power Measurement Hall, where before the competition starts, participants need to have their magical powers measured, a system established for comparing and analyzing the magical levels of participants from previous and current academic festivals as well as those with special abilities throughout history, and someone on the side commented, it's about the maximum magical capacity, right? While another girl said, as expected, she's impressive. As then Asia watched and thought, Noxia has always been ranked number 1 for potential abilities. Proud of my younger sister. Then she noted, it's Lyanna's turn now. Just like in the original story, her magic power seems pretty average. My turn is coming up soon, before a man announced. Next is Lady then Asia Brelov. Causing her to think, why am I suddenly nervous? Meanwhile, Lyanna scoffed. I don't know how Lady then Asia ended up participating in the academic festival. Isn't it obvious what the magic power measurement will show? And others agreed. Exactly. Lady then Asia doesn't have any special powers. Is there even a point to measuring her magic power? But Noxia stepped in, saying, why would you say that? It's natural since my sister never participated within any special power measurement. It's not the first time that brilliant geniuses from other fields have participated in this. So why is everyone making such a fuss? To which then Asia gently said, Noxia, relax, I'm fine. And Noxia replied, Sister. Before then Asia calmly declared, I'll go in. While Lyanna sneered, Of course, she doesn't have any magic power. It's a predictable result. Yet in her mind she faltered, what? Why is she smiling? And as then Asia stepped forward, she thought confidently, go ahead and laugh while you can, Lyanna, because you won't be laughing once you see what I've prepared. In the Supernatural Ability Examination Hall, after the magic power measurement, the second step begins, to demonstrate the supernatural ability one possesses, and compared to the last academic festival, proving how much a person's ability has improved is considered the most important aspect. First, Noxia steps forward to demonstrate her magic. And Lyanna watches closely before entering the magic hall herself and showcasing her own power, prompting a man to praise. Well done, Lady Lyanna! While a girl excitedly adds, Wow, Lady Lyanna! Then the announcer declares, Next up is Lady then Asia Brelov. Lady then Asia is recognized as a genius in the field of magic engineering, which is why she's here today. She's here to present a new weapon she's developed, so please pay attention. The name of the weapon is K01, causing murmurs in the crowd as someone scoffs. That tiny thing is a weapon? And another adds, I heard she used 2 expensive magic stones, but I'm not sure if it'll have any real power. Why did the Brelov family let someone unqualified participate in the first place? Hearing the growing criticism, Alan steps in coldly and says, My daughter is about to present the weapon she made. Why is everyone making such a fuss? Zen. And Zen replies, Yes, my lord. To which Alan orders, Write down the names of those who carelessly spread false information about my daughter. I'll handle them according to the law after the academic festival ends. And Zen answers, Understood. While then Asia, standing at a distance, thinks quietly, I can feel the master's expectations even from here. Before a man instructs, Lady Brelov, please aim in that direction and fire. And she calmly replies, Understood. Though she pauses and thinks, HM, before saying aloud, You want to test the firepower of my weapon with just that wooden plank? Confusing the man, who responds, I beg your pardon, but then Asia continues firmly, At least, it should be something like this to properly demonstrate the power of my weapon. Drawing Lyanna's attention as she clears her throat. Huh? Then Asia grips the weapon, focuses on her aim, and in the next moment, the bullet fires with a loud boom and strikes the target with overwhelming force, making Noxia gasp. Wow! While Leanna stares at her with angry eyes, and amid the stunned silence, then Asia calmly declares, "This is the weapon I developed. It is K01. As the demonstration ends, Noxia rushes forward in excitement and says, "Sister, you're really amazing! You've created such an outstanding weapon!" And then Asia calmly replies, "You flattered me," while their master bursts into laughter, exclaiming, "Haha, did you see it? Did you see it? The incredible power that came from that small weapon!" Making then Asia glance at him and think, Master is so excited, * just as Zen approaches and says, "Here you are," prompting Noxia to respond, "Zen," before he informs, "Lady Asia, the Lord has requested to meet you in the next room. Lady Noxia, please wait a moment." And Noxia nods. Understood. While Asia senses something strange and thinks, what is this? The atmosphere feels off, before stepping inside and saying, "Father, you called for me?" To which Alan replies, "You're here then, Asia, so, the weapon presented this time, is it you who created it?" And she answers, "Yes." Then asks, "Do you have something to say about K01? As he explains, "I heard from Mariella that you created an incredible weapon, but its power was even stronger than I expected. While I'm very proud that my daughter is so talented in the field of magical engineering, I'm also worried." Making her ask, "Worried?" And he continues, "Weapons are ultimately used in wars or situations of comparable seriousness. Someone might try to misuse your talents," causing her to respond softly, While thinking, I think I understand what he's getting at. Creating such an exceptional weapon strengthens the Arwen Empire's national power, but it could be seen as a threat by other empires. The academic festival wasn't just for the Arwen Empire to participate. Since people from all countries have seen K01, everyone will interpret it differently, and that's exactly my intention, before she reassures him. "Don't worry, Father. I know that there will be a war with the Kahlua Empire in the future. I put a lock on K01 to prevent it from being misused. I've also sought advice from Master on this matter. The reason I presented such a weapon in advance is to instill the idea that the Arwen Empire is not to be trifled with. If I ever create K01 for a deal between empires or individuals in the future, I'll make sure to consult with you first. I'm well aware that with power comes responsibility, so you can rest assured." And after a pause, Alan nods. "All right. Thank you, then, Asia." But she smiles slightly and says, "No need to thank me. I'm a bit pleased that K01 seems impressive enough to cause you concern, Father." Prompting him to admit, "I've been so worried that I haven't even gotten to the main point yet. I'm proud of you, my daughter." To which she replies, "Thank you, Father." Later, as she walks through the hall, whispers follow her. "Look over there," one man says, and another replies, "That's the young lady who presented the weapon called K01 earlier at the competition. Its power was incredible, but has the structure been revealed in detail?" To which the first answers, "No, it hasn't been fully disclosed yet. But I heard all the festival officials were so shocked that they even fainted." And hearing everything, then Asia thinks, "I can hear everything, looks like K01, which I developed, is the main focus of interest. I can really feel the change in people's gazes and attitudes. Just a short while ago, all I received was contempt, but now, their gazes are filled with admiration and curiosity, until suddenly she senses something and thinks, who threw the stone?" Turning, she notices a masked man and narrows her eyes. "A mask? That person." As he approaches and says, "You're then Asia Brelev, right? The one who presented the magical engineering weapon." And she replies coolly, "So what?" While thinking, "I already know who he is, Dekine Sidigdian. He's the sub-male lead who will fall in love with Noxia in the future. I didn't expect to meet him in a place like this. Why is he approaching me instead of Noxia?" In the novel, Dekine and Noxia first met when he stopped her with a stone. But now, the same situation is happening to me. I know the original story has twisted, but why is he specifically approaching me? This is getting troublesome, as Dekine continues. I regret not being able to see it in person. People are saying the power of the weapon you developed is incredible. And she thinks the reason he first approached Noxia, it was because he coveted Noxia's ability to manipulate water. Dekine has big ambitions. Currently, he's living as the adopted son of the Igdian family, but he's actually the illegitimate son of the Emperor of the Raisined Empire. He has the desire to become the next emperor. The illegitimate son of the Raisined Emperor, and the adopted son of the Igdian family, a man with great ambition, when he suddenly asks, "What are you thinking so deeply about?" And she studies him silently, this snake-like man. He is trying to build connections with powerful individuals to become the next emperor of the Raisined Empire. The Raisined Empire has the worst relations with the Kahlua Empire. The reason Arwen Empire will get involved in a war in the future is because it's located between these two empires, leading to entanglement. My goal is to prevent the future war with the Kahlua Empire. So there's a high possibility I'll end up cooperating with the Raisined Empire. In that case, and with that thought, she reaches out and touches his mask lightly, saying, "It's just that, your mask caught my attention." While thinking, this is also an opportunity for me. As Thanasia notices the unusual mask, she remarks, "Just, the mask looked a little unusual," prompting Dekine to explain. This? The Igdian Trading Company deals with several countries, so we wear masks to avoid revealing our identities. It's for safety reasons too. And she thinks to herself, already knew that, before asking. "So you can't show your face to anyone?" He replies, "No, only until I'm strong enough to protect myself. And I can show it to my lover as well, since we'll be family anyway," causing Thanasia to smile lightly. "Really? That sounds kind of romantic." And Dekine compliments, "Lady Brelov, your smile is cuter than I expected," which surprises her. "What? Me cute? That's a refreshing compliment." Though he adds, "You must hear that a lot." "No," and she denies, "Not at all. I'm not the cute type." But he counters, "I see, on the second thought, you're more than cute." When Arskan suddenly interrupts, saying, "Miss, here you are," making Thanasia exclaim, "Arskan! How did you know I was here?" And he explains, "You hadn't returned for a while, so I went looking for you." "Oh, you were worried? Lady Noxia is waiting for you at the lodging." And Thanasia nods. "Really? I should hurry back then. It was nice meeting you. I'll be off now." While Dekine adds, "All right, Lady Brelov. Let's meet again. Next time, can I call you Thanasia?" To which she replies, "Well, call me whatever you want." And he thinks I was right, rather than cute she is, causing her to notice his gaze and ask, "Huh? Arskan? What's wrong?" "Rather than cute." While Arskan internally admits, "Rather than cute, she's the type I want to conquer your master," but outwardly says, "It's nothing." Nearby, a maid whispers, "Pardon? Lady Noxia? I haven't seen her at all today," making Thanasia question, "What? What's going on, Arskan?" And he responds, "I must have been mistaken," causing her to clear her throat and mutter, "Huh? Will the sun rise from the west tomorrow? It's unusual for you to be confused like this." While he apologizes, "I'm sorry," and she shrugs, "Well, it doesn't matter. I was just thinking about heading back to the lodging myself." Thinking further, after meeting Dekine, I found him to be more sly than expected, which might make things difficult. "Your smile is cuter than I expected." At that moment, a maid named Jaren stammers, I'm sorry. I haven't eaten anything today." And Thanasia kindly asks, "Jaren, where did you say the dining hall is?" Jaren responds, "Thanks to you, my lady. I get to eat such high-quality food." And Thanasia smiles, "Eat as much as you want, you had a hard day." "Arskan, you too." And he replies, "Thank you." Just then, a girl approaches and says, "Pardon me, you're Lady Brelov, right?" To which Thanasia asks, "Who are you?" And the girl introduces herself. I'm Celine. I'm from the Raisin Empire. I saw the K01 you created in the competition, and it was really amazing. If possible, I'd like to become friends with you. Making Asia think Raisin Empire before responding warmly. It's no problem. How about we talk for a while? And thinking it's never a bad thing to build connections, she adds. I'll step out for a moment. And Celine politely replies, take care. While Asia notices, Leanna is dining here too, and with some friends of hers whose names I don't know. They were the ladies who mocked me with Leanna during the academic festival. As the crowd moves through the hall, a girl yelps. Ouch. What the hell? Lady Brelov, please watch your step. You stepped on my dress. Asia glances at her and coolly replies. So it was your dress. Judging by the quality, I thought it was the carpet. The girl stammers. What? Before Asia adds. Also, have you ever thought that you were the one blocking my way? Leanna cries. Lady Brelov, stop this! I know you stepped on my dress on purpose. But Asia only raises an eyebrow and shouts. Are you crazy? What kind of joke is this now? Oh, my bad. I was surprised because you suddenly talked to me. Leanna tries to continue. Lady Brelov, if you continue acting like this, But Asia interrupts firmly. Then what? Don't you think I'm being rather nice to you compared to the humiliation you've put me through? Thanks to me, you get to change out of that vulgar dress, so you should be very grateful towards me. Then enjoy your meal. Nearby, a girl mutters. Ha! She might be part of the Brelov family, but isn't she going too far? And Krish adds. Just because she's the center of attention thanks to her insignificant invention, she thinks she's become someone special. Leanna fumes silently, thinking she said vulgar once again. Asia Brelov. Just how much more are you going to look down on me? Meanwhile, a maid calls out. Ours can. The carriage that we arrived in. And Leanna interjects. I have an idea, the maid asks. An idea? Is there a way to teach her a lesson? And Leanna continues. Lady Brelov's servant. I've noticed it before, but it seems like she treasures him quite a bit. Sometimes people reveal their weaknesses themselves. Asia, overhearing this, thinks firmly, so, I'm warning you. If you ever touch one of my people again, I won't let you off as easily as I did today. Please don't touch my children, is basically what she's saying. Leanna whispers. We can't do anything to Lady Brelov recklessly, but it's a different matter when it comes to her servant. Even if we kill her slave, we won't be held responsible for his death officially. In the worst-case scenario, we'll just have to pay her what he was worth. So how about we relieve our pent-up emotions on that servant? The next day, as the tests of other participants begin, Arskan approaches. Lady Brelov, can I talk to you for a second? Asia sighs. I'm a bit busy right now. I just need a moment. It's about the weapon you developed. Before clarifying. It's about the magic-engineered weapon distribution, isn't it? I'm sorry, but I have plans to make deals as of now. Then, excuse me, Arskan blurts. Lady Brelov. Asia thinks, ugh, I'm tired of this. Whenever I have time, people I've never seen before come up to me and offer me deals regarding the distribution of my magic-engineered weapon. I realized that father's worries were not for naught. If I had been even a bit younger, I might have fallen for their words and signed a contract. Suddenly, Leanna calls out, Lady Brelov, do you have a menu? But Arskan interrupts, shouting, Lady Brelov? At the same time, a boy appears, calling, Lady Brelov! Somebody! Can we talk about your weapon for a second? Asia thinks, please, save me. And she dashes, cleansing her hands in a magical maneuver to evade him. The boy shouts, Wasn't she here a minute ago? Where'd she go? A man curses. Damn it, I didn't get to explain the details to her yet. Asia, catching her breath, replies, Let's spread out and search for her. Ha, thanks. I've managed to survive because of you. Dekine appears calmly, saying, No need to thank me, Asia. Why are you so surprised? Don't tell me you forgot that you gave me the permission to call you by your name. Banasia smiles. Of course not. I was just surprised because of how natural it sounded. Dekine nods. That's a relief then. And you really don't need to thank me. There was something I wanted to ask you about K012 anyways. But then Asia interrupts. I'm busy. See ya. Dekine insists. Let me finish. It's not about the distribution. I never wanted it to be distributed in the first place. Why? Obviously, because K01 isn't complete yet, is it? Then Asia carefully explains. The K01 has a limited number of uses, so it'll be difficult to popularize it. It uses 2 expensive magic stones at once, after all. Dekine nods thoughtfully. There are a lot of improvements to be made before it can be distributed, right? Then Asia replies quietly. Yeah, Dekine continues. However, the K01 is really extraordinary, so a lot of people will want to have it. But what I'm truly interested in is the next weapon you'll make. Then Asia frowns. You want to distribute a weapon I'm going to make in the future? Dekine replies confidently. That's right. I'm aware that as the daughter of a marquis, you're not that greedy when it comes to money. However, the Ichian group is willing to invest in you fully, so that you can grow even faster. Just like I said, I'm not in need of money for my research, but for more advanced magic engineering, an astronomical amount of money will be needed. Frankly, the more money, the better. Then Asia thinks carefully, however, and asks, Why are you investing in me? Is it just because I seem profitable? Dekine admits. Yes. I have the motives of a typical merchant. Then Asia challenges him. But you said it yourself, I'm in no need of money. What if I don't need the money from your investment and the profits of selling my weapons? Dekine smiles. You make it sound like I need a different reason. If you want a philosophical or moral reason. Then Asia interrupts. No, I want to know your true intentions. What is the real reason behind the Igtian group wanting to invest in a magic-engineered weapon? I didn't expect that the Igtian group would offer to invest in me. I have to know exactly how my weapon is going to be used. If it's related to my survival, then it's even more important. Dekine leans closer, lowering his voice. There are rumors spreading in the Arwen Empire, so I guess you already know. The stories of people disappearing in the Kahlua Empire. By the way, did you hear about that? Then Asia frowns. About what? About people going missing here and there? She thinks, the rumors about the human experiments. The Rajent Empire is taking the rumors seriously. Dekine continues. Will that reason suffice? That means the Rajent Empire is preparing for a war against the Kahlua Empire. That's rather welcoming news to me. Then Asia nods. I get what you're saying. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I guess this is what you say in these kinds of situations. I'll think about your offer then. But it might take a while since I have to discuss this matter with my father, Dekine assures her. Of course I'll wait. Just then, Arskan appears. I've been looking for you, my lady. Then Asia smiles. Arskan, Dekine quietly thinks. I met him last time too. He's your servant, right? Then Asia replies. Yeah. Dekine continues mentally. The first time might be a coincidence, but the second time is not. Then Asia looks puzzled. What? What are you? At that moment, her master bursts in cheerfully. My student! My lovely student! Here you were! I've been looking for you! Then Asia exclaims. Teacher? Don't call me that! Why were you looking for me? Her master replies warmly. Come with me to meet Marquis Brelev. Then Asia asks. You want to meet my father? He nods. Yes. Since the presentation of K01 was a success, I want to talk about future research with him. I also have something to tell him regarding your studies. Then Asia responds. All right. I also have something to tell you and father, her master says. We can go now, right? She nods. Yes, as long as we're back before the other demonstrations start. Dekine bows slightly. Then Asia. I'm going to excuse myself now. She nods. HM? Oh, sure, ours can. What did you two talk about? Arskan answers calmly. Nothing. Are you going to go see the Marquis? Then Asia says. HM? Yeah. Arskan nods. Then I'm going to head back now. I just remembered I had something left to do. Then Asia thinks, something to do? I was told that the horse pulling the carriage wasn't in good condition, so I think it's best that I go and check on it myself. She adds, all right. Come to my room as soon as you're done. Let's have dinner together. Arskan replies, yes, my lady. Then Asia thinks, there's a saying that you shouldn't try to climb a tree that you cannot climb. I'm warning you, you shouldn't desire something that you can't make your own. I know this better than anyone. A noble and a slave, there is no future and hope for us as lovers. Even if we share the same feelings, it's a relationship that will never be acknowledged. I can feel the insurmountable gap in status with every single breath I take. However, the more time passes, the stronger my feelings get. In the dining hall, Leanna glares at Arskan and hisses. Your name's Arskan, right? He looks confused. What is it? She snaps. Ha! What is it, you ask? How dare a slave ask such an arrogant question? You should come over wagging your tail like a dog. Arskan raises an eyebrow. What? Alan said that the Igtian group had expressed their desire to support his magical research and asked what the master thought. The master, surprised, asked if this was true. Alan wondered aloud what could be the reason for Igtian group to make such a proposition. Thansha added that it seemed like the Rajant Empire was interested in magical weapons. The master, reflecting, said that now that it was mentioned, he had received a similar proposition some time ago as well. The Rajant Empire had asked him to do research in their country. Alan speculated whether this was because of the Kalyua Empire. Thansha, thinking to herself, realized that her father knew about it too. The master concluded that it would be good to accept Igtian's sponsorship, reasoning that the more funds, the better, and that they were trustworthy as well. Alan asked if Igtian had expressed interest specifically in investing in K012. The master clarified that no, they wanted to invest in all the weapons they were going to develop, without even knowing what weapon Thansha would make. He added, addressing Marquis Brelov, that it was normal for merchants to become interested in building relationships with her, as the potential of Thansha's weapons had been noticed by everyone. Alan agreed, noting that although their family could cover all the expenses, this was not some hobby. They were bound to work with merchants for distribution, and to avoid being bothered here and there, it would be best to designate an entity beforehand. He emphasized that Igtian Group would be a sturdy financial backer. The master asked if Alan also thought it would be good to make a contract with Igtian, to which he replied not necessarily. Alan explained that if they ever made a powerful weapon, there was a risk that its expertise could leak to the Rajant Empire. Even allies could not guarantee that the weapon would not be used against them, which was why they had to meticulously consider the advantages Igtian could offer compared to their country's merchants. In the end, if Igtian's conditions were more satisfactory, it would be good to specify details that gave them absolute advantage in the contract. Thansha said that they could not share any core expertise and asked if this was the condition he would like specified, to which Alan confirmed. Thansha then decided she would ask for contract proposals from both Igtian and Arwen's merchants, and requested her father and teacher to review them with her. Alan agreed it would be preferable. He then asked Thansha, when she decided on a distribution company, if she would like to try managing the funds. She was surprised and asked if he meant her personally, to which he replied yes, saying he trusted her with that responsibility. Thansha, thinking to herself, felt happy to have received support and trust from her father and resolved to put her utmost responsibility into it, hurrying to inform Naxia, Jaren, and Askin, wondering if Askin would be back at that time. At the stables, a girl greeted her, saying, Lady Brelov! So we meet again in such a place. Thansha replied, Lady Selinge! Where are you going? Selinge said she wanted to take a walk and mentioned Thansha's pageboy with black hair and golden eyes. Thansha thought she must be talking about Askin. Selinge asked about him, expressing concern that he might have made a serious mistake and requested that he not be punished too harshly, calling him pitiful. Thansha, alarmed, asked who was punishing him. Solange explained that she had only heard from other ladies that they saw Thansha's attendant getting beaten up and dragged away, bleeding a lot, and that because he stood out, the ladies must have been especially attentive. Thansha urgently asked for details, inquiring where exactly they had seen him. Elsewhere, 2 men had gathered and were beating Askin with sticks. One said that the boy was tough and would faint if beaten this badly, while the other questioned whether getting beaten was part of his daily life. Askin cried, begging, "Please, release me now." Leanna laughed, mocking him, while another girl remarked that although he was merely a slave, he still had a voice to speak with. Leanna addressed him, reminding him that she liked to make delicate-looking servants' faces a crying mess, and that she only intended to release him once he cried and begged for his life. She continued with cruel delight, saying, Very well. Try to endure till the end. I'll personally give cuts to your flesh. Would you be able to endure the pain of your body getting sliced? Askin pleaded. Wait, Lady Krisha." As soon as she started hitting him with the stick, Lady Thansha stepped forward and got hurt. The girls watching the scene screamed. "Kva! What is this?" Thansha, crying, stammered. "As can." She thought frantically that he shouldn't explode now. If he did, it would become dangerous not only for the people here, but also for herself and for those who came for the event. She had to distract Askin so he would lose focus on his target. Askin, looking at her, asked, "Yo, young lady?" She replied, "Yes, that's me." Askin continued, "These people, to my lady." Thansha reassured him. "I'm fine. As long as you're safe, that's all that matters." Askin asked if she had calmed down now, and Thansha shouted, "Askin?" He pulled her hands gently and said, "Don't move. I'll take you to the doctor." She protested, "I'm fine." "Let me down, you're injured too," Askin replied earnestly. "Please don't mind me." Thansha, catching her breath, said, "Wait, before we go, I have something to say. All of you here, the moment today's happenings get disclosed, each of you will be accused of attacking me with your abilities." Leanna gasped. "What? When did I? I didn't hurt you on purpose," Thansha interrupted firmly. "Try telling them that. Would people believe you once they see the wounds on my back?" Leanna thought in shock. Thansha turned to Askin and said softly, "Askin, it was very painful, right?" "Sorry because of me," Askin quickly reassured her. "Don't apologize. You got hurt saving me after all, my lady. This much is nothing to me." Thansha thought bitterly, saying this much is nothing, just what indignity did Askin suffer from? She said hesitantly, "I think I'd understand if you don't forgive me." Askin blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry? What are you suddenly saying?" Thansha explained. "You got this injured, and you're saying it's no big deal. Your aloof attitude seems to be the consequence of my past mistakes. There's so many things I should apologize to you for. Once we go back, say that you found me fallen by the stairs, and that your wounds have nothing to do with it, since anything related to your ability shouldn't be found out." Elsewhere, Naxia asked her father, "Father, how's sister?" Alan replied, "Luckily, her life isn't in danger, but she needs to stabilize." "It'll be better to visit tomorrow," Naxia pressed. "Did she say how she got hurt?" Alan explained. "She said she simply fell off the stairs, just in case. I asked Thansha's page boy as well, and he told me the same thing. But her wounds are undoubtedly cuts made by something sharp. It looked just as if she got scratched by a beast's claws." Naxia, alarmed, asked, "Beast's claws?" Alan continued. "Would you ask her when you visit her tomorrow? She might be honest to you. Shall we see how long you'll hang on today? I cannot tolerate you carelessly getting hurt by anyone. I can't stand the sight of your black hair. You look wonderful today, Askin. You imbecile, you're not even able to bring this little water properly? Thank you. You're a genius. I'm fine. As long as you're safe, that's all that matters. There's so many things I should apologize to you for. I should run away while I'm still able to, from Kalua Empire, and from the current Thansha." Naxia thought to herself, "Before I get even more reluctant, I have to leave. Sis is hiding the reason why she got hurt. I do have a hunch about it, but it'd be nice if she told me the truth. Oh, this is... she exclaimed, spotting someone. His Highness the Crown Prince Rohel? Noxia cleared her throat. Thinking, which one of us is supposed to be angry here? She called out to Jaren. Jaren, please inform my sister that I've arrived. Jaren replied respectfully. Yes, young miss. Right away. Prince Rohel, noticing her, said. Didn't you see that I arrived first? Noxia responded calmly. The difference was only a few steps. Rohel, insisting on his point, said. Even if it was, the faster one should be first. Noxia, slightly annoyed, said. Then I'll ask for your understanding and excuse me. As her family, I'm worried about my sister. Would you allow me to see her first? Rohel said firmly. That I'll refuse. I have to hurry and leave after. Noxia interrupted. I have to be the first to check up on her, and I won't give in for even an hour. I'd beg you to reconsider, Rohel replied with a smirk. Likewise, I hope that you yield, my lady, Noxia scoffed. Aha! Your Imperial Highness must take others' consideration for granted, don't you? Rohel, flustered, demanded. What, are you aware of what you're saying right now? Jaren quietly muttered. Excuse me, Noxia, with composed politeness, addressed Rohel. Your Highness Crown Prince Rohel. I heard everything that happened outside. I apologize for being unable to greet you properly. I'm very grateful that you came to visit me despite my previous disturbance that caused a misunderstanding. Rohel waved his hand dismissively. Don't give it much thought, as I didn't take it to heart. Noxia, muttering under her breath, liar, then brightened as she offered a gift. This is a present for you. I heard that you liked flowers, my lady, Rohel exclaimed happily. My goodness! I like them very much, thank you, he continued. I also brought medicine from the Imperial Palace, please use them if you need. I can call in a good doctor too. Noxia thanked him politely. I'm grateful for your kindness, your highness. Please don't hesitate to tell me if you have business with me, Rohel, serious now, said. I apologize for mentioning this while you're better than, my lady, but I heard about the KO1 you've presented this time. I'd like to convince you not to sell the technology behind the KO1 to other countries if you ever intended to. Noxia, understanding the gravity, thought, so that's why. Relationships between empires aren't that good recently. She said aloud. No need to worry. That won't happen. I'll never do anything that'll harm our empire, Rohel, relieved, said. Hearing your answer puts me at ease. I'm thinking of making the Imperial Palace give you support from now on as well. I'll let you know of the details soon through a formal document. You can look forward to it. Noxia smiled. That's good news. Thank you. Rohel bowed slightly. Then I will take my leave now. I wish you a quick recovery. Oh, also, Lady Noxia, you can go on with your family reunion comfortably now. After he left, Noxia turned to Thansha, whispering, Sis, did you see that just now? He's holding a grudge, isn't he? Thansha asked, teasingly. Do you dislike His Highness Rohel that much? Noxia exclaimed. I really hate him. He said I was playing house or whatnot, but he's even more childish, Thansha said slowly. You two really make a great couple, though. Noxia blinked in surprise. What did you say? Thansha waved it off. Nothing at all. Thinking, would you ask her when you visit her tomorrow? She might be honest to you. Noxia leaned in. Sis, I have something to ask you. What is it? Was it Lady Krish's doing? Thansha cleared her throat. Noxia continued. The one who hurt you. You haven't been getting along with her lately. I also heard from Father that your wound looked like you were scratched by a beast's claw. I got a similar wound from Lady Krisha as a child, you see. That's why I thought it might be the case. Am I wrong? Thansha, thinking, was Noxia always this sharp, said softly. Please keep it a secret from Father. I'm hiding it because I have my reasons. I was planning to tell you about Lady Krisha anyway. Noxia, surprised, whispered. Really? Thansha smiled faintly. Because I have a favor to ask you, Noxia. She then asked. Thansha, my apprentice, are you feeling alright now? Thansha replied. Yes, I'm fine. I'm sorry for making you worry, the master said. Make sure to recover quickly. Let's meet at the mansion soon, Thansha answered politely. Yes, master. Turning to Askin, Thansha thought, his wounds aren't healed yet, and said, Rest for a while when we arrive at the mansion. Askin replied. I'm fine. She frowned. What are you saying? Looking at you with those wounds bothers me. I'll share a carriage with Noxia, so you take the one over there. Got it, Askin thought to himself. This is how the academic showcase ended. Because I was still recovering, I missed all the academic presentations after that. Thansha, reflecting, thought, I should stop moving from now and rest. There are times when you have to experience something yourself to realize. After getting hurt like this, I started understanding the suffering Askin's been through. And seeing Askin staying silent in this situation, my heart hurt more than my back. He went through the past Thansha's experiments, and recently got beaten up twice by Rihanna. Be it in the past or the present, Askin keeps getting hurt because of me. I should be better with him as much as I'm sorry for him. I have a family, but Askin's alone. Should I give him presents or time to rest, or should we travel somewhere together? Who might this be at this hour? She called softly. Askin, he thought. This is the bag of jewels I gave him. Thansha asked. Are you perhaps thinking of leaving right now? Thansha, hearing movement in the shadows, called out. Thansha, who is it at this hour? She glanced at Askin and noticed the familiar bag, thinking, that's the bag I filled with jewels. She hesitated before asking. Are you leaving? Askin replied calmly. I came to return this. Thansha, confused, asked. What? Why? Askin said firmly. I don't need it anymore. Thansha frowned. What do you mean? You'll need it if you want to escape. Askin shook his head. I decided not to run away. I want to stay by your side. Even if you're tired of me, please keep me by your side and watch over me. I will protect you, my lady. Thansha cleared her throat and thought, I didn't expect this. Just as I guess, Thansha has her reasons for caring for that slave. A normal person would be crippled, but he was absolutely fine. A slave with the power of fire, what on earth is his true identity? I need to find out what Thansha is hiding, she said gently. Askin, you should rest, you've worked too long. Askin insisted. I'll just do this, Thansha replied. Jaren already cleaned it up. But Askin ignored her completely. Thansha sighed. Fine, do as you wish. Since Askin returned the jewels to me, he's changed dramatically. Thansha walked to a nearby window and noticed the flowers. I've never seen these flowers before, she then remembered. Oh, those? Aren't they pretty? The Crown Prince gifted them. He came to visit during the academic festival. Askin, embarrassed, said. I'm sorry. I was wiping the vase. Thansha quickly asked. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? Askin reassured her. I'm fine, but the flowers got damaged because of the vase shards. I'll prepare new ones right away. Thansha smiled softly. It's okay. There's no need to bother, Askin insisted. No, you said you liked the flowers? I'll prepare them for you. Thansha thought to herself, Askin, who used to follow my orders exactly, he has recently been trying to do something more for me. Even with all the proposals flooding in, Askin hasn't left my side. She reflected further, saying he'll be by my side really meant he would stick to me like glue. My room is now adorned with flowers Askin brings every day. And as time passed, the research lab is finally completed. Amazing! The master walked in, praising the work. The exterior is great, but the interior is even more impressive. The women agreed enthusiastically. Exactly, a man added. I'll show you the second-floor research lab. Oh, this room can be used by Master and Teacher Mariella, Thansha replied. Oh my, really? Ahem. Well, it's usable, the women marveled. Is this pillar made of Lycianium? The master commented. Marquis Brelov must have helped a lot. Thansha thought, they both look like children who got what they wanted. Askin glanced around and said, "My lady, while they're exploring, let's check the bunker." Thansha nodded. "Yes, sounds good." She then instructed, "Askin, I'll be right back. Wait here for a moment." She thought anxiously, "Don't tell me he'll use his power in my absence." Turning to Tyler and Robin, she said gratefully, "Thank you so much, Tyler and Robin. I have a research lab just as I wanted." A man responded, "I'm glad you like it. We should meet here next time." Thansha nodded. "Yes. Master, Teacher Mariella, please be careful on your way back." Askin, curious, asked, "Miss?" Thansha replied. "Yes?" Askin continued, "Where did you go with that architect earlier?" Thansha explained. "Oh, that? I was just about to tell you, come follow me. This place is mostly made of lithium, so it's very resistant to fire." Askin observed carefully. "This place doesn't seem like an ordinary research room," Thansha replied. "Of course not. It's a bunker, not a research room. That's why Tyler quietly informed me." Askin asked. "Pardon? A bunker?" She nodded. "Yes, there are secret passages and food storage. It's for preparing for an uncertain future." "Oh, I'll tell you where the secret passage is." Askin looked intrigued. "You'll tell me?" Thansha continued. "Yes. It's a space you'll use often, so you should know. It would be good for you to practice your powers here." Askin nodded in understanding. "Ah, I see you've been paying attention to that," Thansha said seriously. "Of course. What if you lose control while practicing anywhere else? And what if you get caught?" Askin reassured her. "Understood. I'll do my best to control my powers. And I will definitely protect you." Thansha thought that incident really affected him. She added softly, "You don't have to protect me, Askin. You can just hide behind me." Askin asked curiously, "By the way, is this space only for you and me, miss?" Thansha replied, "Huh. Well, for a while, yes." She added, "That's good to hear. Miss, do you remember? You promised to give me something once I could control my powers." "It was around that time," Askin, excited, said. "You said you'd give me anything, so I'm really looking forward to it." Thansha cleared her throat and thought, "Huh? I feel like something is wrong." Thansha put her thoughts about Askin aside for a moment and started a new project. The biggest weakness of KO1 is the magic stone. I need to solve the issue of cost and usage limitations of this magic stone. She thought carefully, but how? The magic stone is KO1's weakness, but at the same time, it's essential. Should I replace the magic stone with one of lower purity, or reduce the size of the weapon itself? Let's try whatever comes to mind first. She conducted several experiments, but none yielded satisfying results. The master said, "Magic stones of lower purity lack significant power. A smaller size? Does it work?" Thansha replied. "A smaller size? Does it work?" Madam chimed in. "My lady, is that a toy?" "How cute!" Thansha laughed lightly. "This looks like I've made a miniature. Yes, it's a toy." She thought. Just as my worries deepened, the bunker upgrades were completed. Thansha called out to Askin. "Askin, feel free to unleash your power." "Overworking for a week after failing the last experiment?" Askin, concerned, asked. "Are you alright?" "I think you should rest, miss." Thansha waved him off. "I'm fine. Don't worry. I need to watch your training." She thought, Askin's fire never goes out unless he controls it. So just in case, the inside of the bunker had to be replaced with heat-resistant materials. And today is finally the first practice session. Thansha watched closely, thinking, I need to watch, just in case something bad happens. She shouted, "Askin!" Askin warned. "Miss, you shouldn't come in too quickly, it could be dangerous." Thansha nodded. "Alright, next time, I'll come in slower. Are you okay? Can you stand? Do you need help, please? Here, put your arm around me. 1, 2. She counted aloud. 3. She then teased. "Are you really leaning on me? You feel too light." Askin replied warmly, Yes. Thanks to you, I'm quite comfortable. Thansha smiled. Really? Let's head up first. Askin thought silently, it's strange. Askin seems to be walking just fine. She smirked. Oh, you were pretending to be injured, weren't you? Askin froze. Did I get caught already? Why were you pretending to be hurt? You had me worried. Askin reached out and pulled her hands gently. Askin? She gasped. He said calmly. You almost tripped on the stairs just now. This time, you should let me help you. Thansha blushed. I did that on purpose. No, wait, what kind of help is this? Askin asked softly. Miss? She thought, wait a minute, if it's possible to create artificial powers in a human using magic formulas, wouldn't it be possible with an ordinary stone too? Askin, I need a favor. Askin asked. Yes? Thansha hesitated. Could you take off your shirt? Askin blinked. All right. He removed his clothing from his waist and looked at her. Thansha reassured him. It'll be quick. I just need to look at the magic formulas on your body. Askin nodded. Understood. She thought, I'll study the formulas on Askin's body and apply them to an ordinary stone. This is a magic formula that generates fire in the air, a formula to move and extinguish the fire. There's even a formula for strengthening steel. What are these small letters? Thansha startled. You startled me, Askin responded. You startled me. Why is it surprising that I'm looking at you? She replied with a blush. Well, you were staring so intently, Askin asked softly. Yes? Do you not like it? Thansha saw Askin's waist and thought, I don't like it. Askin cleaned the letters on his body and said, I must have made things awkward for you. I won't do it again. Thansha opened her mouth. Askin, I... At that moment, a knock came at the door. The servant announced, My lady, you have a visitor. Someone from the Igdian Guild. Thansha's eyes widened. He came without any notice. What is this about? Dekine stepped in and greeted. Long time no see, then Asia. Dekine, Thansha replied. What's the matter? I came because I wanted to see you. And I wanted to talk about the contract. Thansha narrowed her eyes. That's the main reason, right? She said. That's the main reason, right? Dekine handed her a book. The Igdian Guild has agreed to accept all of your conditions. Thansha looked carefully at the pages. They've agreed to all the unfavorable terms. I'll need to compare and check if they've applied it correctly with the previous one. She excused herself. Pardon me for a moment, I need to grab something. Dekine nodded. Yes, take your time. Thansha thought, wait. Is it alright if I leave these two alone here? The atmosphere hasn't been great since last time. Let's hurry back. Dekine muttered. It's been bothering me since earlier. I wish you wouldn't glare at me like that. Askin replied coldly. There's no reason for me to listen to what you're saying. Dekane's eyes narrowed. Didn't I speak politely just now? Your attitude is rude considering your position. Askin shot back. It's you who's rude. Don't use a casual tone with the miss. Don't act too familiar either. Dekine straightened his tie, laughing lightly. Haha, it's not that you're rude, it's just that you're causing a scene without knowing your place. You seem to often forget you're a slave. Dekine thought, wait a minute. Askin challenged him. What are you doing? Go ahead and hit me. Dekine clenched his fists. He's trying to provoke me on purpose. If I hit him, then Asia will think badly of me. He shook his head. No matter what, I can't hit you. Askin smirked. How unfortunate. I was hoping to never see your face again. Dekine said firmly. Don't worry about it. I need to protect Asia from a sly person like you. Who knows what you might do, since you mistook your master's mercy for affection. Askin's expression hardened. Your status is your weakness, right? That's why you can't do anything but tolerate me. Don't mistake your master's kindness for affection. I'm just advising you out of pity. At that moment, Thansha returned. I'm back. Decane's face softened slightly. Then Asia, you're back sooner. Yes, I was wondering if you'd be waiting. Everything okay? Haha, what could have happened? So, shall we continue our conversation? My confirmation is done, but I still have to consider the opinions of the master and father. It'll take a few more days to review. I can wait as long as needed. Decine replied. But let me stay here in the meantime. Thansha hesitated. In the lab, it's not the most comfortable place to stay. I'm from the guild. I haven't only slept in fancy beds. Since I'm here, I'd like to take my time exploring the lab. You'll show me around, right then, Asia? Decine asked. Yes, I don't mind, Thansha replied. Askin interjected. Miss, you're busy, so I'll escort him. Thansha asked. Are you okay, Decine? He smiled faintly. I've changed my mind. I'll just rest in my room. Thansha nodded. Alright then. She thought, what should I do with these two? There's really nothing easy. Finding a stone to carve the equation on is harder than I thought. This should be fine, right? I'll need to talk to Askin soon. Decine called, then Asia. She answered. D-Chain! Thansha exclaimed, surprised. Thansha saw him without clothes and blurted. Wait a second. What are you doing here? Decine glanced up, unfazed. Can't you see? I'm taking a bath. What about you? Thansha fumed. I came to look for some stones needed for my research, but why are you bathing in a place like this? There's a bath facility in the lab. I like washing up in the valley water. Oh, really? Thansha said, turning away. Then go ahead and finish. I'll leave first. Decine followed. She spun around, flustered. Why are you following me? I'm already done bathing, he said casually. Then hurry up and get dressed. Then Asia, why are you so embarrassed? I'm just flustered, Thansha admitted. Didn't you say you'd only show your unmasked self to the one you love? If I see it, it's disrespectful to you and your future wife. Decine blinked, a faint smile tugging at his lips. WWH, you were mindful of that? You're really cute. Thansha thought, that's gross. More importantly, Decine continued, if you needed to come out at night, why didn't you send a maid? It's already everyone's resting time. Besides, I had to come out myself to find stones of the size I wanted. Then why didn't you just make them find what you needed? Thansha asked. How could I? Maids are human too. Decine arched an eyebrow. What? Then Asia, don't tell me, you think maids are equal to you? Thansha cleared her throat. Well, even if our statuses are different, we're all still human. No one would enjoy working at night. Then how do you see me? At that moment, the scene shifted to Arskan. You fool! How dare you spill tea? You deserve a good beating. Decane, flustered, said, I'm sorry. Despite anything, isn't he the son of the Idian trading guild leader? Please show some leniency. A woman scoffed. So what? He's just an adopted son of a merchant. Your name is Decine? I quite like your face. Decine straightened. This is inappropriate, madam. I'll take my leave. Stop right there. Who said you can go? Kneel before me right now. My childhood was marked by discrimination due to my status. A man commented. The Emperor has no intention of acknowledging Decine. Another added. Well, he's the son of a maid, isn't he? Letting him run the guild without knowing anything isn't a bad idea either. What I came to learn in the end was that I'm the Emperor's illegitimate child. It's unfair. Dekine thought, I've lived enduring such humiliation despite having imperial blood. Since that day, I've lived with one goal, to become the next emperor of the Raisin Empire and reclaim my status. And yet, just Dekine, huh? The man remarked. Your status is your weakness, right? That's why you can't do anything but tolerate me. A weakness, yes. That's an accurate term. Seeing how I'm swayed by someone who sees me for who I am. Dekine said calmly. You're quite good at soothing people. I understand why your servant likes you so much. Thansha blinked. Servant? Who? You mean that stray cat-like guy? Oh, Askin? She said. Since we're on that topic, what do you say to him? Dekine cleared his throat. Huh! Every time he talks to you, his expression worsens. If you're teasing him for no reason, stop it. Then, Asia, do you always defend him like this? Dekine asked. Why? She replied. That guy acts all high and mighty because he believes you have his back. If you're too kind, he might start thinking he's someone special. Is that so? Thansha repeated quietly. Dekine pressed. What? Don't tell me, you don't really think that's the case, do you? Thansha clenched something in her hand, thinking, I told Dekine it wasn't like that, but, at first, it was purely kindness to survive. Then it became sympathy for an ordinary boy. And eventually a sense of kinship as I saw a bit of myself in him. I've been confused these days. I don't even understand my own feelings. So I threw myself into work to sort them out. It's dazzling, she thought. Later, Askin approached gently. Please have your meal, miss. You've been skipping meals for a while. I'll hang up the curtains in the meantime. Thansha noticed, compared to that, Askin seemed to know me far too well. Once I became aware of it, I could feel how he paid attention to every little detail about me. He said slowly, Miss, you should go to your room and rest. Miss, are you really sleeping? Askin went away, and Thansha opened her eyes, wincing as a sharp pain spread through her head. Her thoughts swirled chaotically. My head hurts more from this than from my research. I need more time to sort out my thoughts. Once I finish this research, I'll talk to him. After Dekine left, she focused entirely on developing a new magic stone. First, she transformed all the pebbles she had into volcanic rocks. An elemental ability was successfully transplanted into Askin's body, because it was absorbed more easily than in the bodies of other subjects. She had chosen volcanic rocks precisely for this reason. Although they responded to the magical formula of fire, they were not as powerful as magic stones. Now, she needed a completely different magical formula. Artificially transplanting a magical ability into a subject required the combination of many formulae, but because her subject was a small rock, she only needed a slightly altered magical formula. She blended ancient texts, spells, and magical figures, experimenting with hundreds of combinations. Unaware of how time passed, she kept experimenting until she finally developed a magic-infused stone, with all the functions and optimal efficiency she had desired. Thansha cleaned the coal and fired it. Askin looked at her with concern. My lady? Are you all right? She nodded, her eyes gleaming with triumph. I did it, it worked. It's a success. This is as powerful as a magic stone. I created a product that could replace the magic stone, which was KO-1's greatest weakness. Askin asked cautiously. Did it work well? Then you can rest now. Thansha smiled faintly. How long has it been since Dekine visited? Hold my hand. I will help you up. It has been a month, my lady. Already? Askin, let's take a stroll together. Phew, I feel so much better, Thansha murmured. My lady, you must eat something once we finish our stroll. She nodded. All right. Don't worry. I won't skip another meal. Anyway, you can see plenty of stars here too. Indeed, Askin. Which do you like better? Seeing them from the residence or from the laboratory? Arskin's voice was soft. Like them all. As long as I can be with you, my lady. You do? She asked, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. Thansha thought to herself that she should speak to Arskin about the thoughts she had sorted out so far. To me, it sounds like you like me. Am I mistaken? Thansha asked quietly. Arskin shook his head. You are likely not mistaken. That's what I thought. She whispered. Arskin immediately added. I apologize. There is nothing I dare desire from you, my lady. If this troubles you, I will hide my feelings altogether. Yes. It troubles me. Because I don't deserve your affection. Thansha admitted. Arskin looked pained. Pardon? To be honest, I said I lost all my past memories after falling off the horse a few months ago. But actually, I've sometimes had dreams about what happened before then. Most of them are about the things I had done wrong. Like when I was mean to Noxia, when I treated our residence workers rudely, and when I experimented on you. That's who I was. You shouldn't have such feelings for someone like me. What you feel now is merely because you're a lot weaker than before. I just happened to be the closest person around who treated you well, so you probably began relying on me. Maybe you'll change your mind once you start meeting more people. There are many good people in the world, after all. That is not true, Thansha said, clearing her throat. Huh! I used to have nightmares too. In them, people from the lab chased after me. But I no longer have such dreams, ever since I dreamed that you saved me, as you are now, my lady. It is true that I resented you and even wished to get back at you one day. You used to be part of my nightmares. But now, I feel like I am in a dream I never want to wake from. Thansha listened, her chest tightening. My lady, even if this may sound strange, to me, you feel like a different person from the lady you were before. And I like the changed lady standing before me.